Good evening, everyone. This is Jared Rand. Welcome to the It's Time for Change call. 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday, August 13th, 2018. And what we'll do, as I mentioned earlier at the meditation, is that, like we always do, and everybody is polite and respect each other, and we'll do an open forum on a Q&A, and then we'll have people will be able to unmute themselves, come and ask their question, and then we'll get to as many as we can without going way too far time-wise. There's a lot of questions of people that have written into me from all over the planet and involving earth changes, things that are in the process of taking place. And, like I've said, no one has a crystal ball that they can read into and see everything, because time is very fickle. Even if you went into the future, it could be a different timeline. You don't know than the one that we're in and accelerating towards. So pretty much the coastal areas of the planet will be sloshed around, and it won't be safe to be on the coastlines. I would recommend that people, if at all possible, I know some people aren't able to, but if at all possible, is to get away from the shoreline. It doesn't mean you have to leave your state, but it's obvious that the shorelines are not safe, and they won't be. And if you look at the things that are happening on the planet are kind of confusing to some people, but like I've said so many times, if you step outside of this make-believe, because it is, it's a show, it's a matrix, it's kind of like a, before long you feel yourself, you're in it, so when you're in it, you can't get out of it because you don't know you're in it. And that's pretty much the gist of it. So when you're looking at all these things, now watch how they preoccupy your time in your direction, and watch how they pull on you, and how they drop you, and how they pull on your vibrational frequency, and how all the things that happen, the depressions and all that. When you have those things, the reason is because you've allowed this thing to take you over, this storyline, this novel, this motion picture. And if as we've practiced on the meditation so many times, is to go into yourself and get to know yourself and connect with your higher self and your God spark, and realize that you are self-contained, okay? That you are magnificent as you are, and that you have the power and ability to just basically turn that off. And I've said this. I think I said this last Time for Change call that we had, is that we are the, how do you call it? We are the people, the ones who will start the freedom of humanity. Governments aren't going to do it. So that's everybody, I think, on this call knows that you can't leave it up to the governments, because all you got to do is just briefly take a look around the planet and see how miscombobulated the governments are today, and how they've been forever, pretty much forever. And so that's why I've said so many times, you draw a line, and if you had a split screen, you would see movies, okay? Well, and the changes on the planet, the shorelines, okay, we've had earthquakes, and we've had volcanic eruptions, and those have gone on for years, but there'll be more of those. And the Earth is changing, and every so often the planet changes by the surface, the geography, land masses, waterways, rivers. They change. It changes. In the past, over 10,000 years ago, they found where whole forests dropped 90 meters into the ground. just collapsed. They've discovered wagons and chariots and other items in some parts of the ocean, on the floor of the ocean. So we, and some of us, vibrate to know that as some of us in reincarnation have been in these places when things have happened on the planet, where you've had cataclysms and floods and ice ages and so on and so forth. So we have a sun that is expanding, okay? And of course NASA hides it, and anybody connected to the government and the shadow government hides it, and the super duper secret space program hides it. It's all a bunch of, it's just cloak and dagger and hide and everything. You got to remember that whenever you come across something that's secret, it's secret. We can't share it with you. It's a secret. Something's wrong. That there's something being hidden. Okay, obviously, and things should be open to people. The human race should know what's going on, and most of the time they don't. They have no clue. So the sun, picture the sun, and the sun is in the process of releasing a coronal mass ejection, a beam of force energy. When that happens, it will bathe the planet, this planet here, Earth. And, we have this massive wave of energy coming in from the galactic central sun. And when this happens, humanity, the human race, will advance, will evolve very quickly. Now, some will not, as others, like I've said, some will go really fast, some will advance really fast, others will take longer. Some will stay here on the planet, others won't. Others will go to other planets. It's just part of this evolutionary jump, this advancement for humanity. And, people feel it differently. And I've talked to dozens of people who are feeling it in different ways. And, are these bodies, they seem similar. They're similar, but they're not totally exactly the same. Our bodies are constructed in the same blueprint, but we, have different genetics and so on and so forth. So when you look at the picture of what's transpiring, and you look at the heat across the planet, that's all. That is factual information. You just look at the heat indexes across the planet Earth, and you see unprecedented heat. Now, you don't see it in mainstream media because they don't want you to see it. They don't want you to know about it. They want you to be occupied with all this garbage that's going on in Washington and all this crap and this entertainment kind of thing for the masses, to keep them preoccupied, to keep them diverted. And so when you look at this and you see the temperatures in Europe, the temperatures in different parts of North America, the fires going on, and some of the fires were started automatically by laser hits, trying to literally burn up California, Northern California, and create food shortages. There's a lot of things that are being tried but are just not going to work. And at one time, there was a timeline on this planet that the dark agenda, and we're talking about the Cabal, we're talking about the Anunnaki, we're talking about all the bad factions, all the ones that want to have us all murdered, all destroyed and wiped off the face of the planet, the ones that want to destroy the planet. So the dark agenda, what they want, they had a timeline set up. And the timeline we were headed in was a real spooky one, because what it was is that all the oceans were dead on planet Earth. We had I think the population was maybe 10% of what it is now. We had a very low oxygen content in our atmosphere, so it was hard to breathe on the surface. They had floating cities that were self-contained, like biospheres. The inhabitants were just basically totally slaves. They basically ate slop and wore uniforms type, and were basically enslaved to do the work of the dark agenda, for the dark agenda. The planet was a mess, absolutely a mess. So that timeline's not going to happen, okay? The timeline that we're headed in is a total advance of humanity, if you will, across all inhabitants of the planet. Now, during this time, before this energy comes in, we do have some changes on the planet, because as we change, Gaia changes, planet Earth changes, and that's how we're so connected with each other, and we really are. And see, they've been able to get humanity away from the natural order of like nature and the birds and the trees and the flowers and just natural elements that keep us energized and keep us healthy, that we've separated ourselves from. Most of humanity has. Yeah, you take a vacation and you do this and you do that, but really connecting with the natural order of life it's not there. And it's not about going someplace. It's about wherever you're at, is communicating with the trees, communicating with the land, communicating with it. And noticing all of these things that seem so simple. It's not money. It's not wealth. And realize that by grounding ourselves and like in some of the meditations where we root ourselves as crystal light towers into the surface of the planet, and we become power conduits to help the planet and humanity. And not only that, the solar system and the galaxy and the universes. So when we have all this, people have read all this information through the years, all kinds of information, people that are not with us anymore, that wrote books, people that deciphered things, and these are all books. They're all books. They're all written mostly by people who depict or research things and put it into writing. They take a bunch of information, whether it's talking through people, reading, listening, viewing, and they compile it and they put it in a book based upon their point of view and how they perceive everything and how they want to convey it to the public. So these things, remember that everything that we have is a book that we know of. And any ancient script writings, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 years old, but other than that, we really don't have anything that we can really review that is very, very historical, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 years old. We don't have that. So we have people who wrote books, who used, who etched on cuneiforms and tablets and walls and stuff like that, and depicted certain, by pictography, hieroglyphics, and basically told stories of humanity during that time frame. And so I think they forget that these are books, and this is a perspective of another human on what they believe from what they have researched and found out to be. And I think people take these to extremes sometimes and use them as God's honest truth that this is real and this actually happened. Nobody was there in most cases, and there's no proof that we know whoever wrote these books were people that were there. We don't know. It's kind of like up in the air. Maybe it's like comparing apples to oranges. So remember that there's a lot of information, and a lot of the information was created over the past few thousand years to confuse. When you look at the planet and we look at the life changes going on this planet, and it's happening on all the planets in our solar system, even the ones above us that they don't talk about. But on Earth, the waters, the shorelines, I wouldn't stay on the shoreline. I would get away, if you can. I would not, set up a building or buy a piece of real estate on right now that's, sitting on a beach. Not a good idea. And it's just a precautionary measure. There's going to be changes. There's going to be more water, less land in some cases, and then you'll have land appear in other areas. And this cycle's gone on for a long time, millions and millions of years. So we happen to be in one of those cycles. So when people ask me, what's the update on the flooding, there's really no update. The basic, it is, and I've told everybody, you can get a hold of maps and stuff on the internet that kind of give you a description of what we have, what we can kind of look at and expect. The western part of the country is going to be changed, obviously. California will be more of an island, and then it'll be broken up in islands. It'll kind of be separated from the coast. And I've mentioned this before, that there's proof of former shorelines that are 2,000 feet down, 200 miles out from the west coast. So when we realize that at one time on planet Earth, all land was connected. It was all connected. It didn't need any bridges or anything. All the land masses were connected. And at one time, Earth was all a solid surface. And as time went on and it developed its atmosphere, it literally started and expanded, and the atmosphere, of course, was contained, and moisture under the surface started multiplying and evaporating into our atmosphere. We started having foliage and growth, just like when you see volcanic ash and lava that finally cools, like Hawaii. All the Hawaiian Islands are basically all volcanic activity. They're created by the volcanoes erupting. So now you see them, they're green, they're lush, they've got a lot of growth and trees and flowers and all kinds of things. And that's basically kind of what happened to Earth. Now there's some beliefs that Earth was part of a planet called Tiamat. Tiamat was called Super Earth. And the attitude was that Nibiru, the planet of the crossing, people have heard of that planet, or dwarf star. There's a lot of depictions of it, and it basically came through. It collided with Tiamat. It took away a major part of Tiamat, which is the debris field here in our solar system, and then Tiamat became Earth. Others say that Tiamat was completely destroyed, and then we had Earth. So you have to kind of measure some of these depictions and ideas and extensions of thought on how things have occurred and how we, as a collective society, want things to happen. So do we want a planet pristine and Eden-like? Obviously, we want to be happy and we want to be joyous, and we aren't interested in conflict and war and manipulation and all the things that we've been experiencing since we were born, and all the things that humanity has been experiencing since it's been around. Lied to, manipulated, and these things are just common knowledge. I mean, it's been going on forever. And we, as a life, existence, and multiple numbers, is called unification and unifying humanity, coming together and dropping all of the garbage, all this stuff about race and skin color and religion. Remember, religion's created. Terrorism's created. Governments create terrorism to keep the people in fear so that they can control the people. That's it. And pass laws and literally enslave them. So governments create terrorism. That's the bottom line. And you can research that, and you'll find that to be a very on-the-money truth. So, this is, once we, as a society, as a structured life, inhabitants of planet Earth, realize that we can change it all. And how do you do that? That's interesting, because I've looked at that for years and decades to try to figure out how would you do that. I've tried all kinds of things, gatherings, groups, local areas, and so on. And it always came back to one thing, and that's gathering people in one area. How do you do that when they're all scattered everywhere? You bring them in onto the phone, and they bring people in, and they can listen in on their line, and you can have all these people together, and they religiously get in the habit of doing it. And here's the reward of that is a peaceful, loving, caring, nurturing, supportive, happy, blissful, wealthy, abundant society. Now, people who cannot commit to doing that for humanity, then they need to work on themselves. See what I mean? It's to balance yourself in love and appreciation for yourself and connect with yourself. Everything goes on within inside you. So we can change all of it, period. Now, the problem is that there's not enough of humanity that can make massive changes by coming together and unifying. And the biggest form is meditation. Because, see, we don't go into religion. That's man-made. We are going from our core of our creation. We are connecting to the very source of all energy, all power, all creation, all everything, period. And that source is inside of us. And we connect with that source on a grand scale. And as more and more people start realizing, how are you going to change things? How are things going to change? It looks horrible. I've had people say, "Oh gosh, it looks so bad. It looks so horrible." Blah blah blah. I'm going to off myself. I've had people say they're going to commit suicide. I've had people say all kinds of things. But in reality, it's us that are in a position, if we're clear and we're balanced with ourselves, is to take authority and take our power back. And be the actual, you call star seeds, you can call light workers, light warriors, those that are willing to make that commitment for the rest of the brothers and sisters of the planet. Those are the people that gather, that come together, and religiously, I shouldn't say religiously, but committedly work in a collective way to change the course of everything. And it's what we pay attention to and what we concentrate on. I'm not saying that we don't have the force yet where we can change the tide or the different things on the planet, temper things. We could have rain come to California, soak it, replenish it, and eliminate all the fires on the planet. All of these things. If we knew the energy that is being expended to create these things and where the forms are. So it's about being educated and knowing and having that knowing, and also knowing what you want. What is it that you want? And also living in a very high level of gratitude and appreciation. And it doesn't matter what's going on around you. See, that's the separation that is very difficult for so many people on this planet, is to make that separation and say, I'm happy. I'm happy for who I am. I'm happy. And nothing going on outside of you should have any effect on that whatsoever. But we get sucked into the physicality of this life, and three-dimensional life and existence. We get sucked into the physicality of having things, of owning things. And it's true, because all you got to do is look around at the materialism that's so rampant on the planet. Buy, stuff. And, it's just like a mad rush. We've seen what's happened at Walmarts at the rush hours on Black Fridays and all this stuff. And what happens to humanity just to save money on an item. It's crazy. So capitalism and all this stuff is the old paradigm. It never really did serve humanity. It doesn't serve us. And I think that most people would agree to that. So we're in a whirlwind of change, more so than I think that this planet's ever been in. And things are going to, they're going to progress. So with planetary changes, with all of the technologies that are waiting to come in, why aren't they here? People say, why can't we have these now? Because they won't let us. That's the bottom line. Because if we did have physical access to these things, and we had the funds to multiply these technologies, hire the people that we needed to hire, get things rocking and rolling, then we'd have them. But we don't right now. So, it's not like we can snap our fingers and have them just appear and not have to do anything to produce them, to secure them, to protect them, to get them in the right position, to get them in the right places, to get the people to them, and help the people and assist the people and educate the people and the different ramifications that they involve. And there are so many off-world technologies that they're using in the shadow government out in the solar system, on the moon, on Mars, on different planets, on different asteroids. I mean, it's unbelievable, and it's been going on for decades. And the Earth population basically is in the dark on these technologies because there's no such thing as rockets out in the secret space program. There's no such thing as rockets, okay? Those are only used on the surface of the planet to make the people think that, that's the advancement of our technology. That's just totally horse manure. So, when we have the technology on planet Earth is 100 years old. Everything we're using is at least 100 years old, some of it older, right? People think cell phones are technology in these smartphones. It's just garbage. It's old manure technology. 100 years later, we're using combustible engines, and we fuel the engines with fossilized fuel, decomposed biomatter. So if you look at all these technologies that we've been talking about, all of them, and there's so many that it would take hours and hours to discuss them and to literally show everybody what they are, what they can do. We've talked months ago. I brought up one med bed. Randy Kramer's got a med bed that he's had interface with, that he's seen in operation, which is a holographic med bed. The med bed that I've been exposed to is a plasma energy med bed. It reatomizes the plasma energy, which makes up your body, which is plasma energy. Everything is plasma energy, and it vibrates at different frequencies. So if you look at a wood table, you would think it's solid, but it is not solid. The molecules are vibrating at a certain level to make it appear solid. That's it, period. You can sit on it. You can put things on it. The molecular structure is totally different on different items, but that's the whole point. The soil is plasma energy. All the planets are plasma energy. Everything is plasma energy. Everything. It's just reconfigured. We, our God sparks, are plasma energy. These bodies are plasma energy. They're just reconfigured. A banana is plasma energy. A grape is plasma energy. A cucumber is plasma energy. Cattle, beef, all of this is plasma energy vibrating at a different frequency. That's it. That's as simple as it can be put. So the plasma energy utilized in the med bed I've been exposed to literally reatomizes your body, which is plasma energy. It uses tachyon particles along with the plasma energy, and it literally revitalizes your entire physical structure. That's it. Now, implants and everything in that med bed, all the implants, hip replacements, knee replacements, defibrillators, pacemakers, artificial limbs, everything. That's all plasma energy. So it's real easy to reatomize things that are plasma energy into tissue, right? You want a new arm, you got a new arm. You want a new leg, you got a new leg. The database literally scans the body, and it tells the AI, basically, a controlled AI, mind you, that's literally puts it, and I'm not a scientist, and it puts it all together, and it revitalizes the body. And you have a new body, basically. That's it. With any abnormalities corrected. So, the holographic bed basically does things holographically. It will create organs. It'll create an arm. It'll create different different parts of the body. You have a back or spinal injury, it'll repair, and holographically you can literally move that into the damaged part of the body, and the body will function normally. There is a regeneration bed that operates from different principles that literally, and its sole purpose is to keep the body young. That's its sole purpose. That's all it does. It keeps the body young. There's crystalline chambers that can bring people back to life. I mean, these people look at these technologies as they're far-fetched. They're real. They're real. And I've said this before, anything that's been invented, or anybody that can think of anything, if you can think of anything, it's been invented somewhere in the universe. It literally has been invented. There's nothing left to invent. That's the point. Okay? There's different civilizations that are inventing things all the time across the universe, across the galaxies. And to them, it's something new. It's a new technology. But how do you contain a planet? How do you enslave the inhabitants of a planet? Keep them behind the times. Don't give them an opportunity to have technology that, heaven forbid, that they are able to get off the planet and that they can travel to other planets and other galaxies. Oh, can't have that happening. We got to keep them maintained there. We got to make them believe, make believe, that all we use for all these years are rockets. We've been using. Think about this. We have been using rockets since the Nazis in World War II. Think about that. And it may be a little bit bigger and powerful, but the same rocket fuel, but pretty much a little bit more refined, and the same stuff. And no one ever thinks about why is that? Why? Why are we keep using such antiquated forms of transportation? It's because we're being lied to. That's all. All these technologies and everything, and do you think they care that people are dying of cancer, dropping dead every day? Do you think they care that people are impoverished and they're homeless and they're dying with different diseases and they're in pain and sorrow and anguish and depression and anxiety? They don't care about that. See? We care about that. Humanity cares for itself. We have to care. We care for ourselves. We support ourselves. We help each other. See? And at one time, that's the way it used to be for humanity. We helped each other. We protected each other. We loved each other. We loved ourselves. That's it. When we wanted something done, we came together and we did it. We didn't say, hey, why aren't they doing this for us? Hey, why aren't they doing that for us? We did it ourselves. See? That's why this country, and there's other countries historically that have freed themselves, but North America stands for freedom. That's why they're so insistent on destroying it. They want to destroy it because it stands for freedom. All right, and at one time we had freedom, but it's kind of an analogy like this: the managers of of North America, which is us, okay, the company owners, which is us, the landowners, the common law runners, which is us, fell asleep, went on a big vacation and just partied all the time, fell asleep at the wheel and basically drove off the side of the road, and all of the employees took over. And that's what we have today. And they're above the law and they can do anything they want. See? Now the only ones that can put them back in check is us. That we do have assistance, but the assistance isn't going to do everything for us. So it's us. And that's what we're doing. That's part of the reason that we do the meditations, is to increase the vibrational frequency of the planet humanity and to bring it up there and to keep it up there. That's why we do daily meditations every single day, 7 days a week. And that's why it's getting out there. It's getting out there, and it's spreading, and more people are coming in, and more people are listening. Now, if we had a bunch of excited humans, we'd have millions on lines coming in, being trunked in from all over. But we don't have that yet. So we have to use patience. So what we'll do now is we'll go into Q&A, and everybody will be muted, and then they'll be able to star 6 and ask a question, and then when they're done, star 6 to mute themselves again. And we want everybody to respect each other, respect the time, and if we have any background noise, if anybody is not aware that their dish is banging, carrying on conversations, yelling, screaming, we're going to mute everybody and give them a heads up and say, we can hear you yelling and screaming, we can hear this, star 6 yourself. Some people will star 6 themselves, but they don't realize that they've star 6 themselves and unmuted themselves. So we'll do that now.
Oh, no. We didn't have any of that stuff done yet.
Okay, now we can go ahead with Q&A. So all you have to do is star 6, bring yourself out of mute.
Hello?
Yes.
Jared, this is Cindy Taylor calling. How are you?
Cindy, how are you? Fine.
Well, I was fine, but I'm a bit disillusioned, and that rarely ever occurs. But all of us meditated to put out the fires, and it started to cloud up, and I thought it was going to rain, but it never rained, and we still have the fires. So it leaves me wondering what happened that so many of us put our energy and our focus into rain to put out the fires, and no rain.
Reason for it.
Okay. Now, take a moment on what you just said, because it pulls you down emotionally. It literally drags your, and this is on purpose, it drags your vibrational frequency down. You become gassed out. You become irritated. You become, basically disillusioned, like you said.
Well, yeah. But I don't understand what happened. How come the fires didn't go out?
as we go and we send that energy, which we're doing, and we do those meditations, it affects their attempt of their destruction. It affects it. So they try to amp up their attempts to overcome our energy, our eternal love.
To override it?
And they try to override that energy because they know that we're doing it. It's not a secret. So they see it, and they start seeing the effects of it, and then they try to come back and say, well, we've got to somehow block that. So we know that, see, and we literally take that energy and intensify it and keep it coming. Because when we do those meditations, they're in constant motion. They don't dissipate unless we ask them to dissipate. They go on and on and on. And when we do the meditation on top of that, like we did the three days for the fire meditations, there were effects that took place. I had people say, it's raining here. I don't know about the other areas, but they come back and they try to fire up the soil, and they try to dry the air more. So that's why those rain clouds that you saw coming, it looked like it was going to rain, and they all dissipated and went away.
Yeah, I really thought it was going to rain.
Yeah, see, and so when we do that, they come back. They try to counteract that, and that's common knowledge. I mean, that's what happens. So as we meditate and as we think about it, like when you saw that rain, okay, and you said, okay, it's going to rain, and it didn't, it was a letdown, and it dropped your energy, and it wasn't.
It sure did. It did.
It's just like as the ball dropped, and you just went, oh, my gosh, what's going on here? I thought it was going to rain. We need the rain so bad. Instead, when you see that, it is a positive thing because it's making you aware that they're out there, and they're trying to get that destruction without it being affected by our meditation. So you say, you know what? I'm going to give our meditation a strong shot in the arm. I'm going to view those clouds, and I am going to put a barrier around, and I'm going to have those clouds regenerate, and it is going to rain, period. And that's why I talk about confidence. our confidence level has to be strong. No matter what hits they try to play on us, because they know they can pull us down, and if they can pull us down, then it literally de-energizes our meditation. It pulls it down.
Jared, my other question for you was, did we get rid of the Chimera group? Are they gone?
They're one base that's still in operation, and their ability to operate has pretty much been shut off. As far as them being completely eradicated, not yet. And it's funny because we had a lot of people collectively on our meditation.
Mm-hmm.
We had on that first meditation at 5:11 a.m. we had 162,543 people that were on that meditation, and that was from all over the world. That was coming in from the Philippines, Malaysia. It was coming in from England. It was coming in from France, Italy, Germany. It was coming in from China, Hong Kong. It was coming in from Sweden. We had people from the Netherlands, people all over the place coming in. And then it was said that we did not meet or match the 144,000, which was very disconcerting because of the fact that we did. So I would like to know, is it only a special group of humans that are allowed to, generate this energy, that they're selected, that 162,000 human beings were not counted as getting over the threshold of the breakthrough? So that was very confusing for me, and I just basically said, okay, fine. So we'll just keep growing and growing and growing. And when we hit 200,000, when we hit 300,000, we hit 400,000, we hit 500,000, and they keep saying that we still didn't make the compression breakthrough, then something's wrong. Something's wrong. So that was. So we just keep growing. Yeah.
I'm going to mute myself. I don't know. There's someone that's making a lot of noise. I don't know where it's coming from.
It's someone who has not muted themselves.
Yeah.
There it goes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I want you to know we so admire you. The people that were giving you a hard time, had I been in your shoes, I just would have told them to be still. Like Jesus would have told people when you're acting up to be still. They need to be still and not complain to you. The ones that were criticizing you.
Usually what I do is if I do respond to them, I just send them great love and peace and joy. That's it. Period. But there's some energies that we pick up. Some are just very, bitter. They're just not good at all. And those energies are kind of disruptive.
Is that the cabal that's attacking you?
Oh, it's negative energies. So put it that way. It's I believe so. I believe in
they're
some ways.
They're trying to sabotage.
Yeah, some ways.
Oh, gee.
We have the energy of source creation, and we're chugging right along. And we all work together. We're all one family, and so we just continue on. That's it.
So we should just hang in there, right? Hang in there.
I would say float and continually work on keeping that energy wave at a high level.
Okay. I'll float and I'll mute myself, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
Hello, I have a question.
Yes.
First, I want to thank you for everything you do. I've emailed you a couple of times. My name's Renee. And my question is, I live in Santa Barbara. I live about 5 minutes by automobile to the beach, and I'm not really in a position to move anytime soon. What is my timeline for moving away from the shore?
Well, and here's the timeline, basically. It's between now and 5 years from now.
Okay.
That's about the best I can give it. That's the stretch of time. We can take it 7 years out from 2018 to 2025.
So if I just rely on my guidance like I've been doing and doing these meditations, I should be fine.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. I love you, Jared. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jared?
Yes.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Have you heard anything about the Halo-Fi?
That's really interesting. They're trying to keep that from getting out to the public because it's so freeing, so to speak. Mm-hmm. It's safer than the garbage that they've got out with the 5G coming out. Much safer. And none of these major corporations can get their hands on it because it's all patented. See, the actual inventor has patented everything, so it's all proprietary. No one can copy it. They can't take it and reproduce it, and he's patented everything. So that's why it hasn't come out yet, and you figure it out when you've got all of these cable companies that are charging us an arm and a leg for internet,
right?
And when the time comes, we will have total freedom on live streaming shows of anything we want without paying any money for it, and paying $5 to $7 a month for unlimited internet access. Look what that's going to do to the cellular phone industry, which we should literally take the cellular phone industry and throw it down the garbage because it's just really not good at all. Right. It's radiation, low-grade radiation waves, microwaves, that are bombarding everybody constantly. So, with the Halo-Fi, I'm trying to find out, and I'm trying to get in touch with the actual inventor to find out just exactly what the status is so I can get it from the horse's mouth.
Okay.
So there's your answer. That's the best I can do right now.
Okay, one more question.
Yeah.
When we get the med beds, you said there are 3 different kinds. So when we start to manufacture them, are we going to be able to manufacture all 3 kinds?
If the money's there, yes. If we have the funds to do so, yeah.
Now, does the one that regenerates limbs is that different from the one that heals you?
There's the holographic medbed, okay, and that works with holographic images that are created in 3-dimensional real time that actually function as organs and limbs on your body. It takes longer. It could take a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks to regenerate a limb.
Okay.
So I believe it, and I'm not that familiar with it, but from what my understanding is that it will do your lungs and it will do your kidneys and missing limbs and that type of thing. Now there was a depiction of it, of the technology itself, in the movie Black Panther.
Oh.
And it was where they had a guy that they brought in and they repaired. He was shot, I think, in the spine. And they literally showed the holographic imaging and how they were literally repairing him. And then he sat up and he was fine. No pain whatsoever. So, and these technologies, it's going to take funding, obviously,
right,
for all of these technologies to correctly get off the ground and start being manufactured and produced and distributed. So that's, and we're working on many different avenues for funding. We're not just relying on the new currency structure. We're looking at all different avenues because, we just don't sit around and twiddle our thumbs. So we're looking at every avenue possible to get funding and to have the funding available to start assisting with the manufacturing of the gravitic drive, The same with point-to-point transportation. The same with the energy cube. The same with the energy ring. The same with the plasma generators. It's all of that stuff. It goes on and on and on.
Right.
So.
But if we have the funds to do that, we would be able to do all three?
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a med bed question also.
Okay.
Jared?
Which one are you wanting? Okay. I've been on a couple of Intel calls recently where they've said that the med bed does not deal with dementia or Alzheimer's. Is that true?
If the brain is not normal, okay? In other words, if you have had a closed head injury, if you've got like Alzheimer's or the beginnings of Alzheimer's and dementia, anything that causes the brain not to be normal in operations, they call it nominal. The MedBed is not going to fix those in the brain. However, in inquiring, I was given information that told me that they have it's kind of like a hairdryer, those old-fashioned ones where you sit under them and you come down and push them over your head.
Right.
That will revitalize the brain function. That's all that one will do. So that's a different technology. So there is a technology that exists that can revitalize the brain and eliminate Alzheimer's, dementia, and all of the different illnesses that humanity is beset with concerning the brain.
It's just not med bed per se. Okay.
No, it's not a med bed. It's a different technology for the brain.
Yeah, well, someone had said that med bed wouldn't work, but an advanced tachyon thing would.
Tachyon, and I'm not really familiar with the brain regenerator, whatever you want to call it, but I believe it uses some form of tachyon energy.
Okay.
Tachyon particles. Now there are some beds located. There's not many of them, but they're located throughout the country in North America here. I think there's like 4 or 5 locations, and those
right, I'm familiar with those.
Yeah, you're familiar with those. Okay.
But they don't have the hairdryer type thing.
That's the only description I can give because that's what it looks like.
Right.
That's what it looks like. So.
Well, the rest of them the ones that are out there now are like a tachyon bed, a chamber type.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I think Cobra was selling those.
Yes, he was.
A while back.
Maybe.
The price of those, I think, are at the time they were $24,000 to $25,000, and he had to come out and he delivered the first half. You had to deliver, I think, the money, half of it, and then pay him the other half, and then he'd come out. You'd have to have a separate room for it and set it up and make sure that it's operating correctly. So that was the process. That was, I don't know, it was a handful of years ago.
Right, yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jared?
Yes.
Hi, Jared.
Hi.
Yes. Go ahead.
Hey, Jared.
Okay.
This is. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Jared, this is Linda in California.
Hi, Linda.
And I wanted to ask about. We do have someone on the line that's making noise again, but we can barrel through this. I wanted to ask what you could tell us more about the LED lighting. A couple of times in your calls you've mentioned that you do not recommend LED lighting, and I had thought that was basically as far as safety and lighting and that sort of thing. So can you talk about that? Well, I'm going to mood out so you don't get any more background. That's my question, and you know what it is. Okay.
The LED lighting is obviously it's convenient. It doesn't draw a lot of energy. It lasts for 100,000 hours for the most part, and they've changed. They've filtered it so you've got ambient color and so on and so forth. But the LED lighting, it's a light emitting diode, and the energy that's radiated off of it is not good for our eyesight. It's similar to the computer flat screen monitors and our television sets. And that light literally destroys the macula of the eye. That's why there's so many people that aren't aware of this, that their eyes are being destroyed, their eyesight's being destroyed. And the macula basically is the sheathing and the blood vessels that run in between these they look like little strands. And what happens is that over an extended period of time, sitting in front of our computers, in front of LED lighting, which has become everywhere. It's on cars. It's in buildings. It's your computer monitors. It's everywhere. So what happens is it deteriorates the macula of the eye. And eventually you become blind, or you get macular degeneration, you get glaucoma, you get other eye complications, and it's becoming rampant across North America and those that use heavy. I'll give you an example. The smartphones, okay, they're a small screen, relatively speaking. So if you take those and you hold them, most people hold those away, I guess, about maybe a foot, depending on their eyesight. Maybe about a foot from their face. And you notice how many people's texting all the time, and they're constantly staring at that screen, What will happen over a course of extended time, not necessarily if you're in your 20s and 30s, but as time goes by, if you're on it, your eyes cannot adjust anymore. They won't adjust to that light spectrum. And that's a blue light spectrum, which we don't want. And you can read about it and research the blue light spectrum on the effects of the eye, and it isn't good. And so none of us want to accelerate the deterioration of our eyesight. So that's what this LED thing is, and that's why they got rid of all the incandescent lighting. And the technology is there for incandescent lighting, which is basically the light bulbs we used to have that had a warm glow to them, and they drew more energy. See, that's always the lack of, you want to conserve energy. And when we have all these other technologies that give us unlimited energy. So they got everybody off the idea of, get rid of those and save energy. Save energy and get the LEDs. And then they started advancing the LEDs. They had the gas twirlies, looked like a Dairy Queen cone, that everybody started buying. And then they went to a regular bulb like we had with incandescent lights, And they have and then they can dim them and you can brighten them and you have the colors and they don't pull a lot of energy. Well, it's destroying people's eyesight, and they don't know it. And when you look at the TV, that's a different spectrum, but the blue light, and then you come and you got and then you have your pads, your iPads, and you have your smartphones. Everybody becomes addicted. They become reliant on them. They we got to have them, got to look at them to send the text messages and everything else. And it's horrible. It's causing so much damage to people's eyes that it's unreal. And I guarantee you, people that go to ophthalmologists and they go to the optometrist and they start understanding that what's going on here, and all of a sudden is, you've got, which can be cured naturally. Macular degeneration can be cured naturally and reversed, even though the allopathic industry says, no, that's not possible, but it is. It is. I've talked to half a dozen people that have done it. So the fact of the matter is that we can combat it if we're knowledgeable about it, and we don't take it for granted and say, okay, we don't question it. Why do we need LED? Well, it conserves energy, and that was the intro. That was the good part. And then everybody started taking it, and it just kind of felt, it's kind of like a herd, follow it, and okay, no big deal. But that's why you should be very aware of blue light, okay? Blue light destroys your eyesight. And look at all of the electronic devices that have blue light. Computer monitors, your iPads, your iPhones, your Androids, all of them, period. And look at how many people are literally glued to those devices, period. I have literally called people on the phone, and they have said to me, text me. Instead of having a conversation like we used to, communication, they just text me. Well, I'm on the phone with you. Why can't you talk? No, text me. Okay. So, and I'm very careful. I learned about cell phones a long time ago when they had these big chunks, were Motorola, and they had the big antenna, and you had a little belt, and you slipped them in a holster, and so on and so forth. You carried them in your trunk, and you had the big, huge ones you use in case of an emergency. And I learned years and years ago about, and then back then they didn't have blue light, so it wasn't a big deal. And I tell people this, and and I don't know if it's more expensive, depending on how much you're on the phone. It's probably more expensive, but if at all possible, get a sat phone. It's radio wave communication. It's a lot healthier for the body and everything.
Did you say get a sat phone, a satellite phone?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this: if one were creating a new build, like a house, and or a building of any kind, what kind of lighting would you recommend? Would you fluorescent? Would we go back to the old fluorescent?
No, that's mercury gas.
Exactly. So the incandescent bulb, is that what you're saying?
Like we grew up with the old bulbs. Find those. You can get a hold of some that are highly energy efficient, that don't draw a lot of electricity. You just have to look for them, but you can get them. They're not, it's not like you can go to your local grocery store and walk down the aisle and find them in a box or something. But you can get them. You can get a hold of them. Yeah, if I were to build a house, I would not use LED. I would do everything in my power to use natural lighting. Period.
Okay. Well, that's kind of what I was wondering. Maybe you have some alternatives that we could use or think about in terms of switching from our blue light cell phones and devices to how could we mitigate that?
Well, it's like what I've done. I use a VoIP phone most of the time. I use if like my cell phone. I don't have service on my cell phone, so I'll use the Skype function, and I will use another app function that I have with another VoIP connection. So I use voice over internet protocol mostly. Eventually I'll have the old-fashioned hardline desk phone. Period. Until we can surface technology that's safe for our eyes and communications devices. Now, the other technology I've spoken about is it's like a lapel pin, I guess, for a better word for it. It's like on Star Trek, they tap it and they communicate.
Yeah.
It's similar. It's similar, and you can talk with anybody. And once we get those out and manufactured, and they're operating, boom, then we're good to go.
Then the whole cell phone thing goes away.
Yeah, that's the sooner the better. The sooner these cell towers can be dismantled, the sooner that 5G never gets off the ground, that never gets across North America. 5G is just absolutely murder. It's the best. Yeah. That's the best word for it. It's murder. It's killing people. That's it. So
Well, I'm thinking of.
There was a time when we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have them. I remember.
Right.
Remember when AT&T came out with the first cordless phone? Everybody was excited. The big, huge thing with a long steel antenna and carry it around. And I think it was like 900 megahertz. But
you think everyone leaves us if you don't talk better.
We have to make changes. Period. If we want to be healthy, there's things in knowledge that we pick up and say, okay, fine. I'm going to try and figure out a way not to use this stuff. Period.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you. I appreciate that. I'm gonna mute out now.
Jared?
Yes.
Janet Gibson here.
Hi, Janet.
Hi. Hey, so I was going to ask you, what can we do, like as our community of meditation that we do every day, what can we do to help the RV come along so that we can start making the beds and start making all these technologies, the reproduction food makers and all that, the different stuff. How do we help make that happen?
I'll tell you what I do. This is what I do, and I do it several times a day. and we'll have a meditation on it. But this is what I do. I call upon Source Creator God, Prime Source Creator God. I call upon Father, Mother God. I call upon my higher self to safely and securely release God's great abundance, prosperity, and wealth onto the human race. And I ask that you do this now immediately, safely. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I do that several times during the course of the day and into the evening. I do it before I go to sleep at night. I'm doing it every day, 7 days a week.
So all of us should be doing that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's because, you know what? I'll tell you right now, it isn't up to them. It's up to us.
Right. I figured, yes.
See, and everybody's been sucked into this thing. They've been sucked into it. It's pretty easy to get it, It's pretty easy to be sucked into it. And so that doesn't make anybody weak. It's just easy to do. And when you wake up and say, hold on a second here, who's the boss? Who is the boss? We are the boss. Who created the wealth? We created the wealth. Our ancestors created the wealth of this planet. Who has the right to tell all of us that we have to wait for them to determine how to give it to us?
Yeah.
No one. It's us. It's us coming together and realizing that, and great gratitude and thankfulness that it's our wealth. So, we want our wealth. Every American in this country should be, as I've said this over and over again, should be wealthy. There should not be any poverty. Everybody should be able to do what they want to do as long as they don't harm another human or other life, as long as they don't do damage to the environment. These are social don't do's, or there's punishment that will follow. So, because we do have some out-of-control humans. And so you when you realize that, we say, okay, so let's fix this. So how do we fix it? So my contribution is committed to doing that every single day during the course of the day into the evening. And when I go to bed at night, that's in part before I go to sleep. So I wish this for all of us. I don't wish it for me. I wish it for all of us. And I want everybody to be happy, healthy, and wealthy. Period.
Me too.
The only way to do that, and I don't care what these guys are doing, and the towers, and deciding, well, how are we going to do this, and how are we going to do that, and I know they're doing the best they can. I know they're trying to get everything wrapped around and get all this crime out of the way. But the fact of the matter is that the only way to get rid of money is to give it all to the human race, to just literally blanket the planet and all of humanity with wealth. And there's so much of it that it's just absolutely ridiculous. There is alchemy that is a proven fact that has been known for years and years and years, that you can create gold from iron. And that's, yes, it's just so much of this crap that's been given to the human race, that we don't have enough water, we don't have enough this, we don't have enough oil, we're running out of this, we're running out of that, to scare the people into submission, to scare humanity into submission, and to cower and sit there and worry and stress and fear. That's it, period. Instead of saying that, wait a minute, we've got more water under the surface of this planet than the whole surface of the planet has. We really do. Right. And so we can create, and it's effectively making a change. It's actually turning the corner. The wealth and abundance is going to be released to humanity, period. And there'll be some people that'll do some crazy things, but we can contain that. That's I think people, after a while, when you have it, you don't have to worry about losing it. Usually it gets to the point where it says, well, we really don't need it. Okay?
Right.
And then everybody says, you know what? We really don't need it, do we? No. So I'll give you an example. So we move into a meritocracy, all right? That's a social structure based on merit. So you got Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, and they've got a 3-bedroom house. They have 2 kids. They got a nice home. They've got a nice vehicle. They're healthy and they're wealthy and they're content. They're happy. And then they say, well, we'd like a bigger place. We'd like more land. And you say, okay, well, you can have that, but this is what we'd like you to do to contribute to society on a merit-based system. If you do more, if you contribute more, and it could be anything, and then you can go ahead and do that. And people say, okay, fine. What do we need to do? You see how that motivates people to contribute, and it's helping society, and it's also helping themselves, and they can advance. As someone might say, I want to start a horse farm. I like about 220 acres, and I live in the city now, but I want to go out there. And say, well, you can do that, but we'd like you to do this. And they say, okay, fine. And then you don't pay for the house if there's no structure there built. You build it as long as you don't harm the environment, and you have what you want, and you get the horses, and you have it. So.
Yes. I totally understand that because I want to do an animal rescue. Yes, I get it.
Yeah.
But are we going to have to wait for all these bad characters to be off the planet before it happens, or
what I call it is humanity wealth is in the process of taking place. I'll put it that way.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jared. Thanks for the meditations. I love them every day.
You're welcome.
You have a great night.
Thank you.
Jared?
Hello?
Yes.
Hello? Yeah.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go. Someone's got dogs barking in the background. I don't think you know that you're not muted, so you can wait and then mute yourself, and then so that we don't have those dogs barking. I know what that's like, though. I've had dogs, and they don't cooperate sometimes, and they just want to keep barking. So, but
Jared?
Yes.
Hi, Jared. This is Claire from New York.
Yes.
I've sent you a couple of emails. Hi. Last night we had a little meeting here. You've inspired me so much just because you say things that basically sound crazy, and I love them because I know they're real, right? I mean, and I'm an artist also, and last night we were talking about a fund that we wanted to start, and it was for artists over 50 in New York, in urban environments. And my friend, who also has a healing center idea, said, well, what we can do is, like, you can't just open the doors. He said, why don't we just grant people, the money under certain circumstances and tell them in return they have to educate themselves on health and on all these things. Like that is got to be their sort of, what they're willing to do in order to get this money. And on a practical, down-to-earth level, it sounds like it just was a great idea. It was really inspired. So I just wanted to tell you that you've been leading us, which I think is good for the first time. I've been all over the block. I'm a really old light worker. I'm like 63. And I've been like all over the block with many, for years and years and years and years, listening to many different people and going to groups. And I guess what I like about what you do is, you always say it's your opinion. And I wish more people would do that. They would say it's their opinion and not fact. And I like the idea that you allow my creative spirit to sort of have ideas like, well, what if? And that is the crucial point, and that's what the meditations are about. So I just wanted to thank you.
You're welcome, and I appreciate that because it's to try to have people connect with their higher self and to say, you know what? I got to start thinking about how creative I can get.
Right.
I got to start proactivity and start, because everybody has ideas. And in the background, please mute yourself out. Appreciate it. But if you, I think that every human being, I say this from my higher self. I respect every human being. Doesn't mean that that they do crazy things at times, and we get a little irritated here and there. But because we're all part of the same thing, we all have the God energy within us. That's our spirit, our soul, our higher self. I mean, we are all literally one force and power that's just unfathomable. So if an individual says, I'm going to create something that I desire or I want. It could be for a bunch of people. It could be for themselves. Doesn't matter. And they create it. They just let it go. Say, this is going to happen, and that's all there is to it. Period. And it's getting humanity proactive. And I'm not talking about protest and conflict and anger and aggression and all of those things that have never really worked. They never worked. They never worked in the 60s. They really didn't. All that stuff never really worked. So when you realize that, what does work? Meditation works. It is that. Now I will say that that's a fact. Meditation works. It's miraculous things have happened with meditation. And
absolutely.
If we continually join together, and the reason we meditate is because it separates the fact that everybody has different beliefs. Everybody have different religious beliefs and everything, and that's theirs. Meditation is universal. It literally pulls people in. It's simple. We keep it that way. It's clean. It's neat. And anybody can join us, can come in. I guide it every time. As everybody knows, there's no complication, and all people have to do is just follow the guidance, roll into it. Some people fall asleep and wake up at the end. Other people are wide awake with their eyes wide open, and they're meditating right along. Everybody's different. But the point is that we're all there. We're together. We're connected. So,
and Jared, when in the moments when you said that people don't like that you talk in the beginning, I guess I like that because I feel like there's a point in the day where I can actually be with other people besides my husband who really understand what is really going on, not the details of the politics. And I like to just hear you. It's like, I have somebody in my life who isn't, who is aware of the most important stuff. So that means a lot to me. I like to hear you say something. I don't care what you say. But, it's like, but I want to ask a practical, down-to-earth question, and that is that we've been told that there's all this positive military, and they're behind the scenes, and they're behind all of this, and then there are people who come out and say, I'm going to be in charge of my state when this happens. Is there any way we can just imagine, like, a rollout? I mean, do we just imagine it for ourselves in the most positive way, or are there signs and things that we can notice that will give us some, I guess, confidence or encouragement?
Well, in the meditations I talk about our confidence we have to accelerate our confidence and keep our confidence high without the ego. And to have that confidence is to say, how do I want my country to be for everybody? How do I want it? And when you put it in the context of peace, joy, tranquility, wealth, abundance, prosperity, happiness, good health, plenty of healthy, organic, clean foods, plenty of clean water, clean homes to live in, places to live, and to be content and to be at peace, pretty much. And how do I see that? And ask for it is what I tell people. Ask for that. Ask your higher self and say, this is how I want my community, or this is how I want my state to be. I want it to be this way. I want a small government. I don't care if it's a city, a village. It doesn't matter if it's a state. It's whether your community. I want a small government that cares about the people, literally cares about the people, that they are servants to the people. That's what their job is. They serve the people, and the people have the say. Now, if you look at it if you look at like the Native American community, when they have a council and they have a chief, and every year all of those council members are voted out. They leave, and new ones are voted in, except for the chief. And like if you look at our planet and take this New World Order and throw it out the window, down the garbage disposal, transmute it, neutralize it, forever. You look at a council, an elder council of wise people that are connected to humanity, that are with humanity, that care about human beings and care about themselves, that help these different communities around the world and here in this country. That are having, if they can't solve the problem themselves, then 3-4 of these people come in and spend a few months with them and to work it out and to work what the discrepancies are with the structure, with the governing bodies there, and so on and so forth. Isn't that wonderful to be able to do that? And it's like all of our communities, and to visualize this, to see it through our hearts, and to say, you know what, this is how I would like it. This is something that I could really be happy with. And I'm going to tell you something. Everybody on this line knows this. When people are happy, imagine how things go. It's a riot. It's just phenomenal when people are happy. When they feel secure, when they feel provided for, when they're healthy, they don't have those stresses in their lives, and they're happy-go-lucky. They're just at peace. They're happy with themselves. This is a compilation of the energies within them that they contain, and then they come out. They show on the surface. The God Spark has all of that to give us. See? And what we do is we block it unknowingly. Most of the time we block it out. So I would take like any state, and I would say that I lived in, and I look at the state and I say, I want a simple government that's going to care for the people and hide nothing from the people. Period. And I want them to be small enough so the people can manage it.
All right. I agree with you. I'm with you. I don't want to stay on the line, but I want to say that there must be steps, and there are many, 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 many steps. It's an incredibly complex situation, and that's why when people talk about the RV, I think, oh, my God, it could look like a million different things. It could look like that taxes aren't taken out of your – well, what if taxes weren't taken out of my paycheck when I teach at school? I mean, I would have a lot of money. You know, what if, like, it may not have to be that that there's money that's falling from the sky or something or whatever. Maybe my Zim is not going to be, turned up or whatever. So I feel like there is a plan, and you don't really seem to speak about specifics and people. And we listen to a lot of different people and always try to keep a good point of view and say, well, that's from your corner of the world. You see this from your corner of the world. There's a much bigger picture, and I think, holy God, we'll never get out. I mean, it just seems like it's endless. So I'll leave you with that, but thank you. I love you so much, and you really made a big difference in my light working life, and thank you so much for it. Okay.
Hey, Jared? Jared?
The first lady that spoke up, go ahead.
Jared?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm just wondering if the guy that is shoveling gravel might be able to stop or put himself on mute.
Shoveling gravel, that's a good description. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. Yeah, it's kind of
I think that people sometimes, unless it's intentional, but people forget that they think they're muted, but they're unmuted, and they have the noise in the background, or they're waiting to ask a question, and so they keep their line open. So whoever is making having the background noise, mute yourself, so it keeps it interferes with people asking questions and trying to get a clear answer. So it's important that you adhere to it.
I think that they're so into their gravel shoveling that they're not listening at all. But hey, listen, just one suggestion. Your little meditation that you do multiple times throughout the day, I'm wondering if that might be an addition at the beginning of the meditation and at the conclusion. It just takes 30 seconds, and it really kind of does it en masse.
What is it at the beginning that you're saying?
Yeah, if we could do it twice. You said you do it multiple times throughout the day.
Oh,
and
I
so
gotcha. Okay.
If there's 160,000 people on the call, because, people get busy and, we always think we have to do things to perfection, and you've obviously got what needs to be said down pat. And so for the 30 seconds at the beginning and the 30 seconds at the end, I'm just thinking that would give, a boost.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Anybody that is for that, they can just send an email. We can do that real easy. You're right; it doesn't take long at all. So we'll make it as an intro in the beginning before we go into the meditation process, and then at the end before we close out the call.
And, the other thing that does is after, a week or 2 weeks, or some of us maybe 3 weeks, then we'll have that, little meditation somewhat down pat ourselves. And so we can do it multiple times throughout the day ourselves.
Absolutely. Good idea.
Great idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and so just to clarify too, you said that you couldn't expand too much, but the financial thing is kind of on track here, is what you're getting from Prime Creator?
Yeah, if everybody were to connect with what the real picture is that, and put aside the man-made picture, and I think I've said this a few times, is that Prime Source Creator God is giving us this wealth. It's not mankind giving it to mankind. It is Prime Source Creator God, Mother, Father, God giving this wealth to humanity. So if people can connect with that and understand that it's in good hands and that it is being directly processed to be distributed amongst humanity. And that's pretty much the best I can give a confirmed answer of the distribution of wealth for the human race. The matrix that's been constructed is going to be eliminated. It's just not going to exist. Therefore, the lopsidedness that's been going on for so very long, where you've got certain people controlling wealth here and there and doing this and doing that, all the corruption and the misery and all the
Jared, can you mute yours?
Hold on a second. Okay, I've muted it. Obviously, there is somebody on this line that this wants to interrupt everybody and cause problems on this line, and it's just not acceptable. So, I'm going to ask one more time, whoever is crumpling paper and making noise and scraping and banging something and scraping and crinkling paper and causing disruption on this line, I would appreciate it. I send you love. I send you light. I send you peace. And I would really appreciate it if you just hung up. Basically, there's too many people on the line for me to find you. But I wish you would just hang up and not interrupt the call anymore, because we have people that are asking questions, and I'd like to answer those questions. So.
Jared?
Okay, so we have quiet right now, and those who want to ask questions make sure you check your background noise, that it's not going to come in, that you're not on a speakerphone, that you're not on, you got your speakers going on your computer, that you've got background noise that you aren't aware that's filtering into the call, that's causing disruption, because it's very disturbing. And it interrupts a lot of people that want to have a question answered. So,
Jared, I know how to get this clarified. If I could just have 2 seconds to speak.
Sure.
Okay, this is Canada Girl. I've been on these calls for 8-9 years now. Personally, I do not have a computer, but on the Batman call, there was a guy called Atlanta, and I don't know what you do, but he had some kind of trigger, and anybody that jumped on that call, boom, he got him. And Amethyst on the Ray Wren call years ago did the same thing. And I just happened to know that sound and triggered it, and I know what it was, and that person did not even know they were not on mute, because I've been trying to get in for an hour, and I keep pushing it, and I didn't know if I was muted or unmuted. So I do believe that all the people that are making the noise have no idea they're making it, and they would never do it intentionally. And I don't even know how to run a computer, but there has to be a button, because Dr. WC would nail them too, where I think that's on the situation right now where it does not tell us if we're muted or if we're unmuted. So that's why there's so darn much noise, because people don't know And there must be some way that you can push some kind of button to tell us, like it normally says, muted, unmuted, so you know where you stand. But unfortunately, for 1 hour, and I'm just about pulling my hair out, like I'm sure everybody else is, we don't know out here in listener land, or whatever you want to call it. And I don't mean to vent, but I had to get it out.
No, I appreciate that. It's you're right, because I used to do calls years ago on health, conference calls when they weren't really popular. And, you have a monitor that monitors everything to make sure that people don't interrupt the call. And when they do, you just block them off. You just lock them off.
And what you did was excellent for in case if that isn't happening, just keep resetting it, and it just clears it every time. And thank God you did it. Huh. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just like...
It was really getting irritating, wasn't it?
Oh, my God. Like, talk about stress. I'm, like, right off the map. But he did have 2 points that right at the very beginning of the call, and I don't know how long it is, but I've been trying to get in to say, can I do those? And then I'll shut up and get out.
Okay.
Jared, this is Betsy Howell.
Yes.
How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm the lady that called in about 3 calls ago, and I got cut off because my phone died, and I was talking about being superficial after I had my accident. I was an interior designer, and what I found out after my accident, in my name, Betsy Howell, I have Be Well in my name. And I also have a dinar that spells love in the serial number. And I was told by my brother, who served our country in 2004 in Iraq, that he was told by government official to get the currency because it was going to reevaluate someday. And so I got hit by the boat in the Costco parking lot. I found out I didn't want to be an interior designer anymore because I was tired of dealing with people who nickeled and dimed me to death and didn't appreciate me for my education and my design ideas. And now I've been a healer, Be Well, and I have been a traveler and been blessed to live with amazing people throughout the country. And I'm finding that so many people, including my family, that they are very stressed. They're very unhappy. They lose their cool. They're not doing the right things to be in God's eye, and we really need to keep what you're doing going. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your kindness. And every time you get on and do what you do for half an hour a day, brings up so many people that are hurting, including myself, because I have so much pain in my knees and my feet and my back from the accident. And I didn't get the money I deserved for my accident. And I've been struggling financially for 13 years. And I want to say one more thing really quick. Just thank you for helping us. Thank you. And what day is your birthday? Because I want to know, because I'm a white dog in the mind calendar, and I constantly wag my tail and look for love and look for purity and be loyal. And I have my stupid heart on my sleeve all the time because I'm a crybaby. I'm a Cancer the Crab crybaby.
Oh, you're Cancer. Okay. Still waters run deep.
Yeah, I was born on Helen Keller's birthday, June 27th.
Wow. I was born on May 18th. I'm at the end of the Taurian.
Strong Taurus. We love you.
Yeah, the money sign. And my numerological structure is I'm a 33-6. I have a life path of a 33-6. Life path is 6. And so I'm one of those who's here to help the world, the planet, to help humanity, to change how do I put it, to eliminate the pain and the sorrow and the anguish and the stress and anxiety. I think that people can do so much more when they're not under stress. That they do things because they want to do them, not because they have to do them. And that suffer. And it's really funny because of how humanity's been trained to think a certain way. And I think a lot outside of that because of what I've learned and what I've been exposed to. And the fact is that we are our own destiny. We are our own direction. And whatever we decide to do, and again, as long as it doesn't harm anybody and it doesn't harm the environment or ourselves, that we can do, we can take care of, we can accomplish. And it's like I said, when we do good for other people because we want to, not because of what's in it for me, but because we're motivated to take care of other people, we're motivated. Not everybody can take care of themselves in our society. That's just the bottom line. And I think everybody assumes that everybody has the ability to take care of themselves. They don't. They don't. A lot of them just don't have the confidence. A lot of them are so beaten down, and they've got so many other things going on. And we take care of them. That's it, really. Let's eliminate all of our senior citizens from having to eat pet food, okay? Because they got to afford their medications. Let's collectively, not saying, oh well, blah 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 or this or that, or it's about, and I'm going to say when the wealth buckets, when the doors of wealth open up and they start flooding the planet and they start flooding humanity, not the governments but humanity, a lot of things will change. Is it a cure-all? No, it's not a cure-all. For heaven's sakes, no. But it's a start, and it's a start for us to start understanding is that we hold the destiny of this planet. We hold it, every one of us. We hold the future of this planet, every one of us. So when we don't, and we've all done it at times through this life that, we become remiss, we get lazy, we don't pay attention to certain things, and we expect someone else is going to take care of it. And we give our power away. We give our power away. And we just, here, take it. You do this. I don't want to do it type thing. And so when that happens, you get all of the vileness comes to the surface and starts running everything and controlling everything. And we are the only ones that are going to make a difference on this planet. All the signs come back to that. In other words, like if we could concentrate on what we see we can improve and we can change. Just looking around our communities. We don't have to go out there and protest. We could just sit there and think it, feel it in our hearts and say, I would like to see this and see it and start that energy, because when you emit that energy out, it's going to have a creating change. It's going to change. Things are going to change. Absolutely. Every single time. But what happens is that people become impatient and say, this is crap. It doesn't work. The heck with it. I'm going to junk it. It's a waste of time. Because we've been trained to be an instant society, throwaway society. That's how we've been raised. And so instead of sitting there saying, well, they'll take care of it, the government will take care of it, or the municipalities will take care of it. And why aren't they here, and why aren't they doing this? And see, here's the point. If you're an employer, and some of you, I know you're employers, but if you're an employer, say you have your own business and you've got employees, and they service things for you. They fix things and they do this and do that. And let's say that one of them is supposed to come in and supposed to clean the yard and everything, and they get paid and so on and so forth, but they stop doing it. And they just decide they just aren't going to do it. And they expect you to pay them. And so you don't understand, all of a sudden you start noticing that things aren't being done, aren't being picked up. So are you just going to say, oh, well, that's just the way it is? Or are you going to fire that employee and hire somebody that's going to do the job? It's no different than the way things are run across this country, in states and cities and communities and towns and villages and all over. And the point of the fact is that you have the leaders of these communities robbing and raping, pillaging the people every day. And then the people get irritated because of the fact that they don't see these community services being done, and they're complaining all the time because their bills keep going up and their water bill, whatever it is that they're paying in that community, keep rising and taxes keep going up. Well, what are we paying for all this for? What's it doing for everybody? What is it accomplishing? And a lot of the times it doesn't accomplish anything because they're taking the money. That's the bottom line. They're above the law most of the time. So if you had a bunch of employees, because understand that these community people, these governments, in every capacity, are your employees. They work for you. And it doesn't mean that, basically that's the bottom line. They do services for the American people. That's it. What's happened in our structure in this country is that the bad guys took over a long time ago, have been running everything like crazy. They're all a bunch of drug addicts and drunks and pedophilias, and they're all distraught and disturbed and stressed out. They have a very sordid, colored viewpoint of the future and humanity, and they believe in basically destruction and anarchy. It is crazy. It's craziness. So they're running. So you can imagine that the people that run this country and have ran it for years and years and years are absolutely sociopathic. They are absolutely psychotic. And they're like a bunch of drunks and drug addicts running around with no constraints, no accountability whatsoever by those who employ them. See, because where does all the money come from? How does someone go into that corporation in D.C. and come out a multimillionaire? How do they do it? How do they have a medical coverage that the American people could only dream of, where they are paid carte blanche for the rest of their lives, optical, medical, dental, anywhere on the planet? Here's my card. That's a fact. How can they have a golden parachute clause where they get 100% of their salary for the rest of their lives after they retire or after they leave office? Who voted that? And here's the American people suffering every day trying to make ends meet just to put food on the table for the most part and to try to survive. They're so overworked. They're so overstressed. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then again, we have more taxes. Where are the taxes going? What are they doing? Do you see all kinds of construction and road work going across this country? Do you see all kinds of improvements to make life easier for the American people? You don't see any of that. But yet they get richer and wealthier, and they pass bills that no one knows about, and they're 3,000 pages long, and they can't read them. So, I go on and on about this, but it's a fact. And so we, the people, collectively, are the boss. It's never changed, ever, ever, ever changed. It's just they would like to make us think it's changed. That's the reason why they try to take the guns. It's a reason why they try to suppress all of our rights, period, all of the amendments, all of the Declaration. They try to do everything they can to usurp our authority, period. Bully us, beat us, do whatever they can to keep us cowering and living in fear. And the point is that guess what, guys? We outnumber them several hundred times over to one. Okay? We outnumber them. So if we become knowledgeable, danger, because knowledge is power. Ignorance is evil. So if you have the knowledge and we become educated and we start finding out things and we start understanding things, then we start in our communities, and we start from there, and we go to common law, which we used to have. We go to law of the land, which we used to have, and we become a republic again. We become a republic for America. And when we're a republic, we become American citizens again. We are no longer in the throes and control of criminals, basically, that are never held accountable and never punished for their crimes against humanity and against us in our country, against the American people, the English people, the Canadian people, everybody. And when we realize that, a public servant, service, well, you got to be careful. You're calling them a servant. Okay, let's just say it this way. They are our employees that serve us and provide services to the American people. When they don't do their job, we let them go. That's pretty simple. You're not doing your job. We're not happy with you. You're gone. Okay? And anybody that represents us in a small government, because this government in D.C. should be shrunk down. In fact, we should move our government to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And it should be shrunk down to about one-third of what it is now. It's absolutely astronomically ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And it should have been put in check a long time ago. And so when we do that and we can manage our government, we can keep an eye on the government, it's much easier to manage by the people, and the people know this. Say, okay, fine. Well, we'll approve of that, okay? We don't like what you're doing. You're gone. You're fired. Period. That's it. Right? But what happens is that when something gets so big that you can't manage it anymore, you've lost control. You've lost the power and the control. And so coming around and understanding that we literally, if we understood it, control the very wealth that we are desiring of the planet. We control it. It's just that we never thought of it that way. We control the wealth of this planet. Right? I'll give you an example. And of course this is just an opinion. This is my opinion. I would look at, let's just say that the majority of the American people decide not to buy anything from any of the corporations. Okay? They just say, well, we're not going to buy anything. And we aren't going to buy anything for a month from any of these big corporations. We're going to buy cars. We're not going to buy trucks. We're not going to buy any kind of stuff. We aren't going to buy electronics. We aren't going to buy any of that stuff. We're going to get by with what we have right now. Okay? We're going to purchase our food from local farmers. We're going to help the local farmers so that they can flourish and grow, so they can provide us with healthy organic foods. And we're going to be in camaraderie with those people that provide for us in the community. And we're going to come together as a group and as a family, and we're going to support each other. Period. Now, if we were to do that for that long a period of time, those companies would be out of business. Guarantee you. So, but the thing is, here is the crucial part. Why hasn't that happened? It's because the unity is so splintered amongst the people. It's so splintered, and it's so overburdened and so overloaded that people are doing everything they can to stay afloat, period. They're so stressed out, torn, and it's just very difficult for them to concentrate on the fact of saying, oh, what can I do? I'm all burned out, and, there's nothing I can do. But that's not the case. So what happens is that I've had people send me emails, since I've been coming to these meditations, I've had almost epiphanies, so to speak, where I've started to realize that I can do things. I'm becoming empowered. I'm becoming more knowledgeable of who I am and connected with me and my God self and communicating with my higher self. And when I want a question answered and it comes to me, all I have to do is ask my higher self, what do you think about this? And then you get quiet and listen. You just wait. Something happens. Something gives you the answer. It could be something around you, outside of you, or something that just comes in, but it gives you the answer. And I think that by doing this, we become more one. We come together as a family. We start dropping all of the stuff, all of the burdens, all the weights, all the stresses, and we become lighter and happier, and we start working together. And that's part of it. It's part of working together as a collective group of human beings, of brothers and sisters, and forgetting, because guess what? Forgetting all of the entanglements that we've had in this life, and just coming together. No one needs to know your background. No one needs to know, what you've done or anything. It's basically we work together, and we do it for everyone collectively. So what we do is we do it for humanity. We do it for everybody. That's what these meditations are about. That's what these information calls are about, is to help people gain clarity from opinions, was what they are, and can kind of latch onto some of these things and understand that, this makes a lot of sense. I'm going to research this. I'm going to look this up. I'm going to look at that. Wow, that's interesting. And it gets people to start opening up and looking for themselves of what's really happening, what's really going on. Instead of listening to all of this rhetoric that comes across and, gives you this and gives you that, confuses you here, twists you here, tells you there, get this, get this, get this, get this. And it gets so confusing and overwhelming so much. And then you get to the point where you start realizing, it says, you know what? I am a capable human being. And you know what? I like myself. I love myself. And I'm going to start getting my answers and direction from the very thing that sustains me, which is my God self, which is our spirit, our soul, our higher self, period. Now, I to give a depiction, and this is, and a lot of times I use movies because there's so many messages in these movies. And if you look at the movie, if you haven't seen it yet, it kind of gives you an interesting aspect of our higher self. And it's kind of interesting on how it's done, choreographed and CGI'd and FX. So if you look at the movie Doctor Strange, and you see when he literally, his higher self is pushed out of his body by the Grand Master of the arts, of magic, then she literally pushes his higher self, his spirit self, his etheric self, completely out of his body. And when you watch that, and there's some depictions and scenes in that movie where his higher self is sitting reading while his body is sleeping. And when you start, some people are visual and they pick up a lot of things visually. Some people are tactile with touch. Some people are you've got touch, smell. So it just depends on what they can pick up with their senses. Some are stronger in some areas, weaker in others. So when you look at this, you start understanding and putting two and two together. You have your physical three-dimensional self that carries your higher self, your God self, your soul, your spirit around on this planet, allows you to eat and experience the three-dimensional world of taste, excitement, and joy, and love, and hate, and peace, and so on and so forth. It allows you to do that. As an etheric, you don't eat, you don't drink, you don't go to the bathroom, you just live on forever. You exist always, period. You're in the light of God. You're in the light of Creator Source, period. And that's what you are. That's it. In our physical form, we eat and we do all those things, bodily functions and everything. We age and we go through all of these changes. And so it's kind of an adventure. And every life we have is an adventure. But we don't look at it a lot of the times that way, so it really weighs us down. But when you begin to understand who you are, your higher self, what powers your physical body, your soul, your spirit does, what gives you the answers that you're looking for that come out of the clear blue, that give you signs, your God spark does. When people pray, they were taught to, and I've said this before, they were taught to pray outside themselves. They were taught to pray outside of themselves for so very long. The point is that we're created in our Creator's image, which is our spark, our God within us, gods and goddesses. So when that happens and you make that connection, it changes everything. So instead of reaching outside, you're reaching inside and you're saying, hey, spirit, higher self, soul, God spark, what do you think of this? What do you think? What do you think? What should I do here? Now, what that does is it builds a much stronger relationship that you could only imagine be growing with your eternal self, and it's wonderful. And slowly but surely, a lot of the things that used to cause you fear and stuff melt away. Confidence and faith in yourself is absolutely crucial. Confidence, not ego. Confidence and faith in yourself and in your God self is absolutely crucial. because it dispels a lot of things that you really didn't know what to do with in this life, and things that challenge you that you sit and look at and you say, holy cow, crap, why is this happening? What's this going on here? Why am I having this happen? And whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, situational, and you begin to realize that just about all your answers, you've got a hotline to your Creator. It's inside your body. And see, that's why so many of us have been taught not to be that way. It's in the sky, look up above you, that type of thing. And if we knew that, say, and here's another thing. When Jesus would heal, he used the God force energy within that human to help heal them. He knew how to do that. See? He was connected to his higher self. Period. And if you'll notice that our Father, the name of Creator, our Father, is our Creator. And if you notice that in the depictions in a lot of the Bibles and a lot of the writings, that when he was on the cross, and he yelled out and he said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." Father is what he said. Our Father and Creator. Okay? Because we are all children of the Creator, of Prime Source Creator God. We are Father, Mother God's children. And Father God is the masculine part of Creator. Mother God is the feminine part of Creator. Those energies are so important. And when we make those connections, and we do it, you really don't need to go to a university to learn all this. You know it. It's an innate ability that you start connecting with it, and it opens you up, and you become more aware, and you start understanding about yourself. And imagine all humanity loved itself. If all of us loved ourselves and had such a wonderful, fruitful relationship with ourselves and knowledgeable, and imagine if we were able to establish that, which some people are doing and working on, what it would do, how it would enrich us. And, your selfishness goes away. Your greed and your worries and stress and your fear, all of those things melt away, and you start having that faith, and you realize that everything is going to be fine. And it's not wishful thinking, because you have that confidence, and it's a knowing that vibrates within you. And at the same time, it increases your vibrational frequency. It raises you up. It creates that ability, that power within you, and it rises it up. And you feel it. At times you can have experiences such as kundalinis, where it's a euphoric feeling that just rushes through you, in you, out of you, and saturates you, and it raises you up, and it's enlightening, electrifying. You can look that word up, and you can look at the definition, and maybe you've had one and don't know it through your life. But it's uplifting humanity, all of humanity, every single one. Empowering humanity so that every one of us knows that we have the ability to make these changes on this planet. We have to come together. We know that. How well do you do when you're around other people? Think about that. Okay? Do you do better with a mate, or do you do better by yourself and introverted? How do you feel? How do you feel about yourself? Are you happy with yourself? And I'm not talking about, we take away all of the social pressures and things that are beat into us, and we look at ourselves and say, can you look in the mirror and say, I love you? Can you do that? Can people do that? How many people can do that without the ego? Okay? Ego gets us in trouble, gets us mixed up. It's not to say don't ignore the ego, but acknowledge the ego, but make sure that you are friends with your ego so the ego doesn't control you. But these things are, the meditations help, and people get and they start realizing. I've had countless people tell me how it's changed their lives. I've had countless people write in and say what a difference it's made for them. Because guess what? The family's coming back together, and that's how I look at it. The human spirit, the coming together, the unifying, the integration of humanity, of all of us, all walks, all races, all kinds, everybody. It's empowering and it's nurturing. And now all that power of nurturing comes in and it filtrates and it saturates all of humanity, and it makes it better. Yes, there are those that have been definitely influenced, that are cracked, as I would say. They're fractured. They need to be repaired. But we can do that too. So now, obviously, there are those that cannot vibrate at a higher frequency, so they cannot survive. And I'm telling you right now, as these meditations continue and as the vibrational frequencies keep rising, they won't. Those that are out to destroy cannot survive that frequency. They just cannot. Period. So it's like when you get in an argument with somebody, or someone comes at you or says something to you, whether it's in writing, texting, or phone, whatever, it affects you. You send them love instead of return with anger and aggression, which fuels them and fires it up. But it's like putting out a fire when you send that energy to them. Period. So, next question.
Jared?
Yes.
Jared, this is Reverend Marilyn in California.
Hi, Reverend. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I've emailed you a couple of times and you've responded, so I thank you for that. I also want to thank you for the validation that you brought to my small little spiritual community. We know about our higher selves. We've all experienced it together in a group, and and the way you so eloquently put everything, it just touches our very essence, and it validates things that we have moved forward and come to a point of knowing, and it just keeps expanding. And in fact, I'm accused of having a crush on you, and yes, I love you dearly, and I'll admit that freely, because we all meet together during the meditations, and so we know each other on the physicality and in our higher self realm. So it's Absolutely. A beautiful thing. They all tease me at my little church. And I'll admit, I have a crush on Jared Rand. And I thank you very much for being you. And the serious point I want to make today is a lot of frustration about the RV. My group does, people in it. I'm like you in the sense that I have complete confidence in that coming to the earth, and I'm learning how to share that with others, and it's done through soul communication, because sometimes our words just don't do us justice, right? But if we speak to the heart and portray what is really the truth in things, that works the best, and I see that. And with my group, we also we know how powerful your thought is. Many of us when we meet together, we talk about how we think of something that we need, and boom, it's there somehow, some way. Or you think of someone that you need to really talk to, and it's boom, it's there. It's all proving and moving forward and trusting that everything we need is given to us. And so that's it. That's my little
Appreciate
That's my little appreciation for you, Jared. I truly value meeting you.
Thank you.
And our birthdays are in the same month.
Well, we definitely have to meet then.
Yes, we will. We'll have a birthday together.
Everybody, meeting, and then imagine meeting in a great area of nature and meditating all at once out with nature, with the planet, and with Gaia, and just feeling the vibration beneath us. And every one of us has a carpet underneath us, like a magic carpet, and we're all in a kind of a cross-leg position, lotus position, and we all are meditating together for a period of time.
Yes.
Energy and the love and the compassion that humanity is capable of is concentrated during that meditation.
Oh, you can feel it, Jared.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. Even if you have to go back at some point and listen to the recording, there is no time or space in that realm, so it's just as powerful. So don't anyone feel that they're not doing their part when they listen to the replay.
Oh, it's just wonderful. Anybody who for a half an hour commits that time to help everyone. It's about what can I do? This is what you can do, and it's not hard.
No.
It doesn't take hours of your time. It's a process that everybody can contribute to help brothers and sisters of humanity, everybody on the planet. And that's where we're going. And I don't think anybody can argue if they really boils down to it. What is the most powerful force that humanity has ever experienced? It's love.
Love.
It's love. That's it.
Total love.
Total love. That's all we have. That's what we're made of. That's who we are. That's why it's so uncomfortable for us to have wars and to commit harm against each other and to dispel that. And those are influences that we aren't good at. We are not good at it.
No.
Even though we may think we are. We're not good at that stuff. We're good at being benevolent, kind, and loving. That's when it really shines. When you see humanity come together in intermittent, sparse times, when they come together to help others, it's like totally, they don't care. They're there to help others. They want others to be safe and feel good, period. And
I agree totally, and I'm going to get off because I hear someone else trying to get on.
Yeah.
But also, whoever was shoveling rocks or coal earlier, I was very patient and loving, and now they're gone.
Yep.
There you go. Love you, Jared.
Love you.
Hello.
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 And Jared, I apologize for losing it, but boy, oh boy, that was really harsh. I'm sure most people, I had to cool down, and I apologize for venting, but enough is enough is enough. And
it happens.
It does, but I don't know how, I know on some of the other calls I've listened to, the minute somebody was on there making noise, they just reset the room, and if they spent 5 times a minute or 5 times at a half an hour resetting the room, at least everybody got to hear it, because it really is sad when it overrides the value of the conversation. But enough of all that.
Yep.
So, I'm not trying to say I'm a goody two-shoes, but, I just listened to these calls for so long. I don't even have a computer. I wouldn't know what button to push if I had to. But I know WC does. I'm lucky if I know how to the on-off switch, but that's okay. But anyway, what I really wanted to do was tell you I'm here on Vancouver Island, which is the west coast, right above, there's California and Oregon and Washington State for those on the other side that really don't know where it is. Then we're British Columbia, and then above that is Alaska. So we're kind of sandwiched in there. And I'm on an island that's called Vancouver Island, which is an hour and a half ferry ride out of Vancouver. So next stop would be, I don't know, Hawaii, Japan, I don't know. But anyway, here, relative to the water situation, and I'd like to know the water table versus the aquifer. This city, they've decided to knock down all the old little small heritage buildings, and they are building huge for here, like, 26, 28 floor condos, and charging $3 and $4 million for a basic condo. They've decided that, because it's the Hawaii of Canada in the winter. I mean, you don't shovel snow, you cut your lawn, and starting in January, unfortunately, we get rain, and it's depressing instead of the sun with the snow. But the deal is, these huge buildings, if you have the little place where you can peek and look down and see these deep, deep holes, and the deeper the hole, the taller the building. Jared, they are dry. Not a drop of water in there. Now, I know Toronto, where I grew up, after about 6 feet, they had the sump pumps going. Now, I mean, my friends in Louisiana, they don't even have basements. So here we are, and they're going to have all these, they charge a fortune for nothing here. They don't provide the sun, the sea, or the surf, but the realtors and all those people are really making the bucks. But what is going to happen when they all turn their tap on at their $5 million condo and there's no water? Duh. Unfortunately, us in our regular little apartments are going to be the same boat. It is a serious problem. You sure don't see anything mentioned like that on all their fancy magazines and realtor ads and whatever. So there's that. The other thing is the bees. Now, I'm in the third-floor apartment of a brick building. There's no place on this building and a beehive could be even constructed, nor is it. And my windows have been open lately because it's been extremely hot, and there are bees flying all over my house. Well, I'm happy. Most times people are like, oh, get rid of that thing. Now, that tells me that somebody must have brought a whole pile of bees back onto the planet. Could you elaborate on those 2 points? And then I have one more, and I'll be out of there.
The bees are being, how do I put it? They're being repopulated.
Right.
In different parts of the planet.
Okay.
People are going to start seeing some changes, positive changes, on things if they notice it like you noticed it, and you're welcome. As the vibrational frequency rises, things are put back in order on a higher plane of existence. The lower the vibrational frequency, the more death, the more destruction, the more chaos. The higher vibrational frequency starts to put things back in order and reassign with nature and realign. So the bees, and what you're seeing, of course, with the moisture because of the Vancouver Island, and you have that's been happening in parts of Greenland. I've had people talk about it. It's been happening in parts of North America where all of a sudden there seems to be, you're starting to see honeybees again, where all you saw before were yellow jackets.
Yes.
And the yellow jackets were trying to take over to help where the honeybees would pollinate. And so it's a repopulation process that's happening. And obviously we need that because we need the bees. If we don't have the bees, we die. That's
exactly. Yeah.
So the bees are gone, we're gone. That's over. That's how
that's
crucial
wonderful.
The honeybees are. So, people are starting to notice that there's a repopulation happening that they haven't seen in a long time of the bees. Now, a lot of the waves that are being created that are destructive to humanity and all life are being redirected off the planet, and they're not as damaging anymore. The situation with the water is that Greenland had 90-degree temperatures. That's unheard of.
Oh my gosh!
Greenland.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You have fires in the Arctic Circle.
Everywhere.
So burning out of control. So what's happening here is it's a line drawn in the sand between good and evil. And the evil, in their eyes, is good. They believe they're good. They believe what they want to do is a good thing. It's good for the planet. It's good for humanity. It's good to kill off the majority of humanity. It's good to eradicate them and scorch the surface of the planet because then it helps the planet heal and, rejuvenate and so on and so forth, and it's gotten rid of most of humanity. And the bottom line is that with the water situation there up in Canada, you dig and you dig and you dig and there's no water. The fact is the surface water on the planet is being redistributed. And people don't notice because they aren't talking about it. But it's rising in different areas. There are swells. There are certain tsunamis in certain parts of the world that have not been reported. There are things happening because of this melting. You've got ice and polar ice caps melting.
Pushes the rivers up and into the lakes.
Yeah, and then you've got other areas that are freezing. It's a shift of the planet. It's a pole shift that we're in the process. See, when you enter an ice age, before you enter an ice age, it gets really hot. It gets really hot.
Oh, so this is the last kick at the cat.
So it's being unprecedented heat and temperatures all over the planet. It's unheard of, but they're not covering it. You have to look at yourself. You've got to find it yourself because they don't want anybody to know about that. See, the changes that are happening, and everybody's occupied with all of this soap opera, patent place stuff that goes on.
Right.
With this corporation in D.C. and all the things that are happening and all the things on the television. I haven't watched television in years and years. And so it's funny when you go back to things that are much simpler and aren't distracting, and you pick up things that help and assist humanity. It's a whole different ballgame. But with the water, you're going to start seeing up there increases in water. You'll start seeing lands, those small islands up around out there.
They've taken people off, some of them, and they are down below. I mean, they're completely covered now, way up in the Arctic.
Yeah, they're underwater. Yeah.
The native people have been removed from there, and those islands don't exist. That's pretty darn close to here.
Yeah, they're losing their land because it's all going underwater.
Exactly.
It's all disappearing. Exactly. And they don't want anybody to know that, so they don't report it. So the most people don't know it. They aren't aware of it. Only the inhabitants in the area, only the locals are aware of it because they're seeing it happening.
And people don't even care. That's the sad part. It's not in their backyard, so nothing to do with
You have entire beachfronts disappearing. I mean, then you have beachfronts. You have entire beaches, water areas, totally draining and disappearing. People wake up the next morning, it's all gone, period. They try to explain it away by some stupid excuse, and it doesn't make any sense. And it's happening all over the planet. We are in the process of Earth change, of the Gaia change. We're in the process of literally a pole shift. See, North Pole is going to be in Siberia. It's not going to be where it's at. It's going to shift. Things are going to shift, and there's going to be changes. There's definitely going to be coastal flooding. There's going to be land masses that will appear, other land masses that will sink. It's always been this way. And there'll be tsunamis. There'll be earthquakes. There'll be volcanic eruptions. There will be all kinds of changes and things going on the planet. Now, they don't want people to know. They don't want to get people upset. So they're just totally ignoring it.
So keep them watching the football.
Watch your football, do all that.
Miley Cyrus for the young ones, or Hannah Montana, or whatever.
Yeah,
and if that isn't enough, then they do this silly. Everybody's glued to their phone.
Yeah, so it's a distraction for humanity. It's just to keep everybody occupied, and don't pay attention on what's really happening, because we don't need you to do that. And all along, they're building underground bunkers and condominiums underground at $2 to $3 million a shot, and setting up and getting ready and stuff. I mean, Will Smith in his backyard in Hollywood, I think that's where he lives, out there in L.A., he had a company put in an underground bunker where his family could go down and live. Okay. I know because I talked with the owner of the company. So
yeah, that reminds me in the 60s they were all about us digging, and they were putting them, it was a big deal about putting them in the backyard. It shows how old I am, but because
that was the McCarthy eras.
And I was in Toronto, and they were really pushing that one, boy.
Yeah, so it's distract people and keep them in ignorance so that they don't know what's going on until it's too late. See? So the point of the fact is that you have two perspectives that we can look at. We can look at doom and gloom, which is total destruction, total elimination of everything. Doom and gloom, total economic crash, no money, people suffering and starving in the streets, dropping dead, every worst nightmare you can think of. Or we look at the fact of saying, okay, well, we aren't going to have an economic crash. All right? We're going to transition to a new monetary system, which is a hard asset-backed currency for the planet. Right? Mm-hmm. It's not going to be a Bitcoin because that's the bad guys. That's they introduced. You know, Bitcoin was introduced in 1995, and people don't know that. It started that long ago.
Wow.
So what happens with all of this stuff is that it's distraction. That's all it is. It's distraction. Don't pay any attention to that. Don't look this up. Don't read this. Don't do that. Do this. Do that. This is when you go to work. This is when you get up. This is when you eat. This is when you go to bed. Blah, 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 blah. Keep everybody in a herd mentality so that they can keep them. Have the sheepdogs out there keeping the herd in order. You know, have the sheep herders and the wardens and everybody watch over them, make sure that they don't get out of hand and control them. You know, keep them stupid. Keep them all stupids and in the dark so they really don't know what's going on, period. So, see, and they don't want the human race to be wealthy. They don't want that. They don't want that wealth to be given to humanity. They
keep us so dumbed down, most of the people, so they wouldn't even know what to do with it if they had it. They'd blow it at the casino.
Yeah, we've seen what's happened their way, all right? And it's, you know, just look at it. It's common sense. Look at their way, and look what it's done, and now we've had enough of their way. It's over, period. And it is over. And humanity is going to become more awakened and more aware and start understanding that, you know what, this stuff's all garbage. We don't have time for it anymore. We don't have time for wars. We don't have time for poverty. We don't have time for sicknesses and diseases. We're going to clean it all up, and we're going to move on, period. And those that can't get up to that frequency, they leave. That's all there is to it.
I see. Now, I don't want to hog the call, but I just have two brief things. So here I am on Vancouver Island, and I'm still whittling through my stuff, going through every drawer, every paper, not just pushing it from left to right. For the first time in history, I haven't had kids or grandkids or running in 10 directions at once. I just parked myself, and I am going through everything, and it is a slow process. But it's a cleansing of, I guess, my soul and letting go of the past and whatever you want to call it. So I'm still got a lot to go, but, you know, I will not quit, and I'm quite enjoying it because there's more green garbage bags going out my door than you can believe. Because really, in the deep, my soul, I live 1 mile from the ocean. Like, duh. And if it's going to be 3 miles high of water, there's nowhere on this island. And even if you were the one little person that was left, where are you going to go to shop? I mean, it's like it's time to get out. If I stay here, to me, it's like I'm sitting in a lawn chair on a freeway with freightliners coming at me. Like,
yeah, and you know, and here's an idea. This is just an insight, and the fact is that when we understand that we are eternal, that's a big change for us. But when we come to that understanding deep within ourselves that we are eternal and that these bodies are temporary.
Right.
So when we made that connection, understand that our fear of leaving the body is pretty much eliminated.
Yes.
That's when you know you have become complete with yourself. That's a dead giveaway to know that you have become balanced with the one, with the force.
Okay, so obviously I'm not there because I just want to run away and go 300 miles inland where it's safe and sound, and I'll live up high on a hill, and the big, deep Clearwater Lake will give me all the water I'll ever need.
Yeah,
so
and then see what you have is you have a direction that your higher self is saying, look, go here. Everything's going to be fine. And you have faith in yourself, and you just follow it because it's there and it's giving you direction. Everybody's higher self that are on this call is giving them direction if they only would listen. People say, well, how do you do that? Is someone just going to come in with a loudspeaker and talk to them? No.
You listen to you. Yeah, I know what you mean.
you get quiet, you become quiet and passive. You ask the question, and then you sit and listen. And I'm going to tell you, it a lot of times it comes in different ways during that time you're sitting and listening, and other times it comes in later. You just have to be aware, and you have to listen, and you listen to yourself.
That makes sense.
Once that happens and you've listened to yourself, you get the answers. They come in. You know, should I skydive, or should I jump this bridge, or should I jump over this rock, or, you know, what should I do? I need some advice. We all are craving advice and direction in our lives. We all are. I don't care how advanced you are. I don't care how many degrees you have. I don't care how much experience you have. We are looking for advice, guidance, assistance. If only I could have someone helping and guiding me that knew and it could really teach me. And we're never too old to learn. We're always learning. It doesn't matter if we're 80, 90, 100, 150, or 20, or 10, or 15. We're learning all the time. We're like sponges. So the humanity is so starved for attention, okay, for love and appreciation, for respect and thankfulness and gratefulness, and it doesn't get it. So when that happens, you get almost like children that get very upset and ornery and cranky, and they get irritated and go in different directions and do stupid things. And so bringing that love, which is inside of each and every one of us, to a full flame is paramount for everybody. And to have that flame burn bright in each and every human being is the key to our success of going in, up, and out of this goop and to higher dimensional frequencies. And that's where we're headed. People, I'm telling you, this planet is going to be transformed. People are not going to recognize it that we'll stay here. It's just not going to be anything like it is now. Nothing.
Wow.
It's
and you know something?
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
Oh, okay. So, and I don't mean this is about me, and I, but, you know, when you're speaking like that, it really is starting to hit home. I moved here 10 years ago, and the suite I was in before, the cable vision was included. Well, hey, I didn't have to pay a cable bill. I'd turn it on and watch, some home decorating show or the news, CNN, whatever. Well, when I came in here, nope, this deal here, nope, it's not included. You get it yourself. So I made a deal with myself when every single little bit and piece that was done, like clearing all the boxes and everything. And I've had children and grandchildren to raise, so I never got at it, just shoved it in the corner, keep her going, keep going, get everybody where they got to go. Well, I said to myself, no TV till you get it cleaned up. Well, I moved in when Obama was getting inaugurated. And you know what? I got used to it. And I go to somebody's house and they got the TV blaring. And then the ads are jumped right up and I hear them on the phone. I just want to pull my hair out. And I think, you know what? I'll phone you back when you're finished the TV. No, it's okay. Go ahead. Well, it's okay for them. But it's driving me crazy. And you'll never get to phone them because I know even one of my children, they leave their TV on 24/7. Like you'll never get to phone them when there's no TV, or they'll never phone you because the TV is they can't function because if there's no TV on, it feels wrong. And then there's no husband here watching a football game, which just pulls me right over the top. So, you know, it's like, actually, I'm very lucky there was no TV included.
Well, if you ask everybody on this line if they could stop watching television for a week straight, it'd be interesting to see how many could do it.
Yeah, but once you're away from it, you can't stand it. Even you see it in a store, and it's like all this crap flashed in front of your face. And I understand the degeneration. I mean, there's some stuff on there that, you know.
Well, it was created for advertising. It wasn't created to entertain. It was created to advertise.
And there's no Leave It to Beaver on.
It was originally created in this country to advertise products and sell to the public.
Okay.
That's the purpose of it. So they got the idea by getting these shows and these sitcoms and everything to entertain the public and then put all these commercials in there. And so your shows and sitcoms would really be content of 15 minutes or so, and the rest would be commercials.
Yeah, now it's probably 5 minutes and 25 of commercials. It's bizarre.
The commercial, it's about selling. It's capitalism. It's buy. Okay? And most of the things we just don't need. But,
yeah, so if people turn their TV off, it's just like when you said don't buy a car, don't buy this, don't buy that for a whole month. If everybody turned their TV off and didn't do that home shopping channel or whatever, they would crumble in a heartbeat, would they not?
Absolutely.
Well, hey, listen, everybody's looking for the mystery. It's called turn your TV off and shut your wallet.
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm not driving right now. The gas prices here is equal to $8 an American gallon. The cheap stuff is bizarre. Never mind the expensive stuff, which some people have to use. And I said, that's enough. And I'm running around in cabs cheaper. The men are opening the door and shutting the door, treating me like I'm the Queen or Lady Diana. I'm not looking for a parking spot 6 blocks up. They drop me off at the door, and some of them open the door for me. You think I'm going to turn that in? Oh, no, no, no. I'll throw my car out the window. I'm still paying for the repairs. I haven't even used it. Yeah, it's like crazy making. But, you know, I'm staying home. When you stay home, you don't use your wallet. If you go out every second day, you're cutting it in half. What you used to be out and you'd be on the wrong side of town, you got to get a bowl of soup and a coffee because you're on the way on the wrong side of town. That's going to cost you more in gas. Well, the soup's full of salt, and if you have a kidney problem, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
And coffee at $3 whatever an hour. Of course, they all need their tip at 15%, like crazy.
Hello?
You're walking out of there with soup and a coffee for like $13, $14.
Yeah, we should probably let someone else ask a question.
I'm sorry, that's it. I'm sorry, but it's been crazy. So your advice is get off the island and go 300 miles inland would be a wise choice, correct?
Whatever you feel comfortable with doing.
That's what I do. Okay, thank you. I apologize for all my venting.
All right.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Jared, I just have a contribution to that move in 300 miles. You said earlier when someone asked the question about between now and 5 years, and I think that probably people are uneasy because of monetary constraints. And so is the RV going to happen before this raise in water? Because if people had money, it would make that move doable.
You know, it's like no one's got a crystal ball on the Earth changes. Okay, some people say it's going to happen in 2019. Some people say it's going to happen the end of 2018 when all the Earth changes start hitting full blown. Others have said by 2025 through the transition of the event. So, you know, it's dollars to donuts. I guess you just basically look at it from this standpoint. If you're aware and you look around and you look in front of your face and see the things that are happening and feel what's going on, that you know the current status and structure of this planet and the governments no longer is manageable. It's no longer doable. It cannot survive. Okay, so what the transition is that abundance and wealth and prosperity will start circulating all over the planet. And the transition will be a lot different. The control mechanisms will be given to the people in a lot of cases as the governments reformulate and become for the people. So you're going to see people like Theresa May go away. You're going to see people like Merkel go away in Germany. You're going to see Trudeau there in Canada go away. You're going to see the Crown structure in England go away. You're going to see all that stuff change, period. And
well, Trump basically done that with the executive order from December 21st.
Yeah, Trump's being directed. He's being directed.
But that's as long as somebody's doing something positive, whether Trump's the guy pushing the pen. The bottom line is, the TV is basically just an advertising mechanism for the news, CNN, MSNBC, etc. And so when people listen to their TV, as Canada Girls relatives do, or friend, 24 hours a day, they're basically just being brainwashed with the agenda, the advertising, the socialism, the globalization, and so on. And so I gave my TV away years ago. And so, one place I do spend a lot of time on the computer, though, and some place that I go, For me, it's not finding a different perspective. It's what I believe. But for other people, it might be finding a different perspective, is Puppet String News. It's actually run by a veteran, and he gives what I believe to be the truth, and certainly a different perspective than what, is broadcast through the television networks, with the exception of Fox. And so it's Puppet String News. YouTube also has a number of people who are truly, covering Q and what's going on behind the scenes as best they can. Praying Medic is one. He's excellent. There's another guy called War Drummer. He's incredible. And so those are just some different perspectives for people. The best thing they could do, in my opinion, humble, in terms of transitioning, is shut off the TV, because that's not where you're finding the truth. But anyway, that's all I really had to say. Oh, and one quick question, because you communicate with Prime Creator and so on. So what would be his or her message at this moment in time to everyone on the call?
That everyone is blessed and loved immensely, that the turmoil and the stress that all are feeling is soon to be alleviated, that there is a whole new direction for humanity, that everybody's prayers have been heard and are going to be answered, that the direction is not doom and gloom and destruction, that there is a whole new life ahead of humanity, happiness and joy and bliss, spiritual awakening, and gratitude and thankfulness. And that faith is absolutely paramount during this transition. Faith in yourself and faith in your Creator.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Jared.
Yes.
Hi. How are you? I've been very enthused with your meditations and also the messages you bring and the information and the inspired guidance. I think it's really powerful. After the meditation, I play some of your meditations over again, and it really does have an impact, especially when you're talking about the higher self and getting guidance. I think that's really important. The people don't usually get that kind of guidance on a every day, every breath moment. So I just really appreciate that. Having had a medical issue come up suddenly in the last 5 months, major one, I've been asking guidance, and it seems to me that the alternative, and then the medbed idea has been coming loud and clear into my awareness, and not to go the allopathic route. So do you have any new info on the medbeds as to perhaps when they would be available, or anything that you could say?
The current information that I've been given is that they'll be available in small number before the end of the year.
Yeah, nothing more current. How? If you were under a situation where you didn't want to do an allopathic procedure, you think it would be? How certain are you about that it's coming before the end of the year? Is that a guess?
Well, you got to look at it this way: is that to have access to that, I can't answer the question, so I wouldn't count on it. If you have a situation that you're looking at the allopathic end, rather than the naturopathic.
I think I'm not looking at doing any allopathic at all. I'm totally into the natural, but my higher self was saying medbed, and I looked on the internet and I'd seen yours and someone else's. Wasn't sure which way to go or how it's going to come about. I mean, is there any?
Well, right now, there's all kinds of rampant rumors running around the internet and everything, and people saying that they're already here and they're being used and so on and so forth. But to the best of my knowledge, they're not here. We've even had people make statements on how much they're going to cost, which is ridiculous because they're not on the ground yet. They're not here.
Yeah.
The med bed that Randy Kramer has had exposure to, and he's basically witnessed it when he was with the Secret Space Program. He is trying to raise money to get a prototype built of his bed, the bed that he's trying to get off the ground. And so the technologies that are in the hands of beings from other planets are some of these technologies. And some of the galactics will be delivering med beds to the plasma bed to the planet, to different groups of people, so that we can start getting them to affect help to a lot of people. There's a lot of people that need the med bed. I mean, it's just mind-boggling.
I know. I want to be involved in actually distributing them. I was thinking that what I've experienced in emergency rooms is they all need a med bed to get people to really help people in a way that's really powerful and compassionate. I mean, otherwise it's just it's a rat race in those hospitals. But anyway.
It's. I wish we could snap our fingers and have them appear in everybody's house, right? With how to use them, and like everybody has a refrigerator, everybody would have a med bed, and that's the ultimate. That's my attitude and idea, is that everybody becomes acclimated and accustomed to how to use them, and basically that's it. That's the med bed room. People walk. People are in their houses. Oh yeah, what's that? Well, that's the med bed room. Oh, okay. But
well, at least in a central location where there's a lot of people coming in. I mean, like a hospital that could include that. And I had a vision that along with of course, as things transition and allopathic moves out of the way, that the alternative holistic naturopathic approach could be actually right there in the same building, and people could be offered that approach and actually have a lot better experience.
First it'll be cycled and circulated carefully, as not to be booby-trapped or cut off or destroyed or people harmed because of the nefarious people that would like that technology not to be in the hands of humanity. So, so there's different things that we have to be careful of, but it will get out to the people, and there are those of us who have committed our lives to seeing that carried through. So it will get out to the human race. They will have access to that technology. We are not going to have disease. We are not going to have ailments on this planet anymore. We're just not going to have them. They're not tolerated. We're not going to have sick people. We're not going to have distraught people. We're not going to have drugged up people. We're not going to have people with missing limbs. We're not going to have people, that can't walk with different ailments. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's out of hand. So we're going to eliminate it. We're going to eliminate the sickness, the diseases, the ailments, so that humanity can breathe easy. There's people not having to stress and worry and fear about their well-being. Oh my God, I'm going to get this. Oh my gosh, now they're saying this stuff's coming out. Oh, and now we've got this going. And, oh, now I've been diagnosed with cancer. Oh, now I've got this, and now I've got this, or I've got Lyme disease, or I've got Morgellons disease. It's just on and on and on. It's just rampant, you know?
Right.
And we're not going to tolerate it anymore. It's going to be gone, all of it. You know, hospitals are not going to be hospitals anymore. We're going to have healing centers. That's it, period. All right. Yeah, if you break an arm or something and you need help, you'll have some people you can immediately contact or beam yourself to the location to have the broken bone fixed. Okay, but for the most part, people will have access to med beds and they'll be able to heal themselves whenever they want. That'll be gone. That'll be a thing of the past. It won't be on the minds of people and stressing them out. You know, the wealth will be the worry, the lack of. That'll be gone. Of wealth. This is the future for humanity. It's basically what it is. That's why all this is being introduced, all of it, all being introduced. That's why it's all coming out. That's why it's starting to spread. Those who are most awake will understand it, comprehend it. They'll think about it more. They'll start manifesting it more, which is helpful, and it helps those that are trying to integrate it into society and introduce it. It helps those to get it out that much quicker. I've got hundreds of people that have committed to wanting to help distribute, circulate, manufacture, produce. Some people have plant facilities already set up and waiting. Some have staff members already, engineering, research and development. I mean, there's people that are really committed to carrying this out. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that as many people that are responsible to commit to this, that want to do it, will take up the hand and start doing it. And we have manufacturing facilities all over the place so that people can start until we bring in the replicators. So as long as we need to manufacture these, we will manufacture them and get them out as much as we can to the populace. There's no more of this hiding stuff and creating these diseases for profit and gain. It's crazy. Using the human body as a money machine and keeping them alive artificially till their lives, they become to deteriorate so much that it's ridiculous to even be alive and being caught in that body. So, eliminate drug addiction, eliminating all of these things that we don't need it anymore. We don't need it. It's going to be gone. And that's the happy part of this. That's the enlightening area of what's happening. Everybody sees all this doom and gloom stuff. The new life for humanity is what I've just said. Disease, poverty, all of it. It's going to be gone. It's going to be eliminated. We have that given to us by our Creator. It's being given to us. It's literally being handed to us. There'll be those that are responsible for distribution. There'll be those that will take on different responsibilities, helping other people, educating people. There's going to be so much job creation. It is just, you can't even be able to count the jobs. They'll all be high paying. They're not going to be minuscule jobs. Minimum wage is going to become a thing of the past. It's kick it right out by the seat of its pants, forever gone. It's idiotic, stupid. Okay,
in your vision, how many years do you see it actually becoming mainstream?
I would say that wealth-wise, abundance-wise, I would say that in 5 years there will be no poverty on this planet. Period.
For diseases?
I think most of the diseases will come out with cures, and they'll be eradicated. They'll start coming out with all kinds of cures. I mean, there are technologies right now that haven't come to the surface of the populace where they literally can reverse your aging. Bottom line, pretty soon people are going to be able to buy a natural extract that they can take that has no conflict in their bodies, no side effects, that will reverse their aging. Period.
That one product called Age, the one that was promoted by Zora, do you agree with that one?
The glycation, the glycation. I have taken that myself. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I've used myself as a guinea pig with all kinds of stuff for I'll say, let's see, 45 years, I have literally tried every newest, best thing that's ever come along. I guinea pig it. I try it. If it's crap, it's crap. I don't talk about it, and I don't talk about it to people. But when I come across, now everybody's different, so it may have a different effect on different people. But when I take something that really, really makes a difference, then you got something. That's it. Period. You got it.
What was your experience with that age one? What did you experience from it?
Energy level, skin texture changes, hair changes, clarity, eyesight, joints. Let's see, what else?
Jared, I'm on it.
Yeah, and there's other people on this line that are on it. I mean, the stuff works. I'm real sensitive. I'm real sensitive to conflicts because I take a lot of different herbs and extracts. Okay, I'm an herbologist. I'm a naturopath, so I'm real careful, and I look at and I research all the ingredients to make sure that there's no conflicts. And then if it looks fine, then I'll take it. And you're going to see all kinds of stem cell stuff coming out that you can research and find. That's going to just revolutionize your body. Stuff is getting ready to bust loose out there that's going to blow people away. It's just absolutely phenomenal. It's not garbage, all right? Some of it's garbage, but that there's a lot of it that is real, that really makes a difference. And it's not snake oil salesmen. It's stuff that, for like $70, $80 a month, you could totally reverse your aging. Period. So and people have to be, got to be patient, and people have to understand they don't have it yet, but this will be coming out where you take 2 pills and that's all you need. But right now, the stuff that's coming out, it's miraculous. It's not widely, it's not in everybody's hands, but people that have used it, the lady that just spoke up and said that she's on it.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And I'm 90 years old.
And she's 90 years old, and she's on it.
It has stopped my aging, and it's begun to reverse. But because I had so many complications, it's slower and takes longer, and it affects people differently, depending on the body constitution.
Right.
But it does work.
Sounds good. By the way, Jared, I'm a 633-6 also, and I live on the 33rd longitude.
Wow.
I see 33, actually. I noticed a lot of combinations of numbers when I look at a digital clock or just anywhere, even a number anywhere, just without thinking, it's just spontaneous. I see 33 a lot.
Wow, that's great.
And even one of my phones actually has a 33 in it. I noticed the sign in is a 303. You got 33 all over the place. I see that so often, and I know that it definitely is the Christ consciousness, basically, is what I get.
That's exactly what it is, Christ consciousness, yeah.
Yeah, the master teacher and emotional mastery and healing. It's a very not an easy number to sometimes when someone has it. I don't think it's that easy to deal with it, but once you get it, it's pretty cool. I guess.
Yeah, you're right. You hit it on the head. I've met 33 sixes that are really have some hard times. I think we all have. We've been challenged. I think 33 sixes, and that's not denoting all the other numbers, master numbers, but 33 sixes. I've talked to a lot of 33 sixes that just really super challenged through life in different ways, and then once it clicks, usually in later life, it starts to click.
Even 1122 added up to 33. I had a major experience on 1122, 1988. It was a very intense experience with the Christ. And so that 1122 is also, even when you add that up, it's 33. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and if you take three numbers, if everybody were to take these three numbers, these are the empowered numbers, and you'll figure it out soon enough. 3, 6, and 9.
Actually, well, yeah, I was looking at that too from Tesla.
Well, Tesla used those. He would walk. Yeah, he used 3, 6, and 9 all the time. Of course, the bad guys got him in the end. But the fact of the matter is that 3, 6, and 9, everybody, those numbers are power numbers, and numbers are very impactful. And if you use it, whatever you do, you want to do it in 3s, 6s, or 9s. Period. And if you add the numbers up, 1 through 9, you'll figure it out that everything ends up equaling. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. And if you go through that series of numbers, you'll find everything ends up back to those numbers.
I think that's an ascension code, basically, for ascension.
Yeah.
Because 3, 6, and 9 are all emotional numbers, are all based in the emotional connection to our spiritual self. And that is a code that in order to really, and you talk about it a lot on the call, about how our emotions and how to connect to our spiritual self. In order to able to really be in a human body and be fully present, one has to fully embrace their emotional self, which is the force field of the soul. So it's part of the process that we go through in order to anchor in the spiritual part.
You're right. One thing I would like to say is that we haven't seen anything yet on what's coming. I mean, things are going to be like every second something's going to be blossoming, something's going to be coming out. It's just going to be absolutely spectacular. Things are going to be off the charts. They're going to be just unreal.
I hope that you arrange for a reunion of us angels to get together in the physical form. That would be amazing.
That's being talked about, literally. That's being discussed.
I think you're the one. You and some of us. I'd be happy to talk to you about it too.
Yeah, people don't understand that there's a lot of Earth angels that have come down to Earth to assist humanity in the form of humans. I mean, they're here. They're all over the place. I've had so many Earth angels help me, and I've helped them. I mean, we've come across each other so many times. It's unreal. And they come out of nowhere. Isn't it funny? It's funny because we're all connected and we don't realize it. So when we're thinking things and we're feeling things, that someone appears. Have any of you ever seen that? If somebody appears, something happens out of the clear blue when you just happen to be thinking about it. I wish I had this, or I wish I had someone to help me with this, or this, or that, and boom. There it is. It's just unreal. It's miraculous. It could be at a Lowe's, a Home Depot. It could be at a grocery store. It could be absolutely.
Some of us that know everything.
Jared.
Yes.
Jared, on numbers, I just want it's PD here.
Yes.
And I've never been into numbers, Jared, but a numerologist did my name once, and he says your inner number is 33, and your outer number is 1.
Okay, so
Can you tell me?
You're a 33-1.
Yes.
Yeah. So your master number is 33, which is the top one. And the bottom number is 1, which is your life path.
Yeah, pioneer, I think, was the word he used.
Yep, pioneer. One is a sequence of our life cycles that we go through during the course of our life, and 1 is the beginning. Of course, it's the beginning of everything. It's the pioneering number. It's the startup of things. It's the generator, and then we progress all the way up to a 9 life path, or a 9. I'm in my 9th year. That's what people are in their 9th year, their 1 year, their 2 year, their 3 year. Your life path is 1, which means that you are the pioneer. You're the implementer. You're also the community leader with your 33. That's a master number. So 33 means that you work with and help groups of people. You help communities. You help take care of people. You give people insight. You're a leader. You're a manager. You have insightful energies and awareness. People listen to you. They trust you, and you're very inventive, very creative. You have a high level of brain power energy. You're very compassionate, very committed. You follow things through in completion. You can be sometimes over controlling, over demonstrative at times, depending on your temper. You can sometimes be stubborn
and impatient.
Yeah, and impatient, where you need instantaneous results because that's what you expect, and that's what you expect to happen, and then when that doesn't happen, it gets frustrating and irritating. So
there's something I've learned about myself, and I'm wondering if it's part of this. I'm in my mid-70s now, and I've come to the understanding that I look at my life, and I've never been very good on a one-to-one level in personal relationships and that kind of thing. But when it comes to looking at the world in the whole and seeing and understanding from that perspective, I've come to realize that I'm very strong. More of the agape love rather than personal love. Would that be something that fits?
Yeah, that's pretty on the money. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's funny, as the cycling, we are all those children, the young bodies that our spirits came into. We are still the young children. The problem is that we forget that. So we don't pay attention to our inner self much. As we grow older, we start realizing that connection was vital, and it's so important to make that connection, because a lot of times we sever our connection, and as we know that eventually the body wears out and we leave it, we start reflecting on things and saying, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or I would have done this, or I would have done that, and I wouldn't have done this, and this type of thing. So we're more separated. We're more disjointed. The key is the connection with the higher self is when the love and the peace and the joy and the relaxation comes in, and the contentment and the faith and the security, so that we're in that mode where we know, okay, this is fine. These things are fine. I am part of the whole. I'm part of humanity. And what I'm here to do is whatever I can do for the greater good. It's whatever I can do to make things better for everybody. And that is my joy. When I can do that, when I honestly can do that without motivation, without someone trying to prod me, it's an automatic. It comes from my highest self, my heart center, that I can help whoever I can help to make their lives a better place to be, a better way to live, then I'm happy.
And
when each of us come to that realization, when we realize that what we are literally creators, and we spread love energy to every corners of the galaxy and the universe, that's what we are. That's what we do. So if anybody on this planet is unhappy, unhealthy, if they're impoverished, if they're starving, if they don't have a place to live, it's like the veteran. It's all of the human race. It is our responsibility to take them in our arms and to help them become whole. It's our responsibility. We're all together. We're taking care of our family members. We're taking care of our family members. That's what we do. But the problem is that the influences of the dark pull us away from that and make things disintegrate and separate and segregate and cause us to become ill and stressed and angry and hateful and destructive and arrogant. and selfish. All of these things are.
I know them all.
Yeah, all of these things. We all experience them. We all. Yes. No one's immune to them. Nobody. And the point is that it's when do we come to the realization that it's all goop? All that stuff is garbage. It serves us no good, and it serves us no purpose. Our command by our Creator is to do good always. It is to love always. And that's what our force is. That's what our force energy is. We are meant to go out into that galaxy, into that universe, and to spread eternal love everywhere. Everywhere. And see, here's the point. When we go out there, because we're going out there, and when we do go out there, we're going to know something. We're going to know that, you know what? I am eternal love. I have been created by a source that is the creation of all that there is. And a piece of me, a piece of that source is inside of me. So whenever I don't need the body anymore, I move on and go to the next. And it's not a big deal anymore. When humanity gets to that point, when they finally reach that understanding, bam, watch what happens to the universe. It's going to be absolutely magnificent. With this change that's coming in, with this galactic wave that's going to be just banging into us, and the sun, our sun, spurting off a galactic energy wave, and we got the great central sun coming in with its wave, humanity is going to be transformed overnight. There's going to be a lot of humans that will end up with superpowers. There's going to be people with all kinds of abilities that are going to go, wow, what is this? Some people are going to be freaked out. Holy cow, I can do this?
What my inner self has told me, informed me, it's taken a long time to learn to recognize when I hear it, and still have trouble getting into the state to hear it, but it is available to me if I really need it, and I do. But I've been informed that we are going through kind of like the toughest of the tough, and that when this is all said and done, we'll be in great demand in the universe for the kind of knowledge and stuff we've learned through going through this process here on this particular planet.
Yeah, you're right. And like I said this a long time ago, humanity, when it gets to an evolutionary jump here shortly, eventually humans are going to be at a level of advanced awareness that they will oversee galaxies. Period. They will oversee galaxies. They will watch over. And with all of the experiences that we have all had, because we've had more than just this life, I'll guarantee you that. Everybody who's been on this line, who came here, all of them have had other lives. All of them have been here. Some have been in Atlantis. Some have been Lemuria. Some have been Mu. Some have been in all places. That's why the familiarity in certain situations is so real to people, because they say to themselves, they go, you know what? I have been here before. I know I have. And it's not someone else's thought, because they're planted and grounded and they know it. So you go there, they go into their eternal self, their higher self, to say, you know, I've been here. And the eternal self says, yeah, you have. We have been here before. You know?
Yes.
And we're doing things, and it's so exciting to know and to feel the energy that's coming from humanity, and it's expanding out. It's no longer going to nowhere. It's expanding out, and the love is being generated and created at an accelerated rate. And that's why things are coming out in the open, and that's why people are seeing such craziness with all of these so-called leaders that don't lead anymore. They can't lead. They're becoming inoperable. They can't function. The reason they can't function, the reason they're being exposed, is because of the fact the reality is that the vibrational frequency of humanity is increasing, and it's increasing fast. It's accelerating. And the planet. And what that means is that these folks stuck in the goop of the third dimensional reality cannot handle it. It's freaking them out. They're kind of short circuiting. That's what you're witnessing. And it's
I'm sorry. There's one other quick thing I'd like to mention. Hearing these people that are really wanting and needing the med bed and stuff, and I'm one of those. I've been diagnosed as terminal, but I've, a couple of years ago, I was led from within to turn away from allopathic. Period. That it was not right for me. And then in the last few months, I kind of got, because things were getting kind of difficult, and I kind of asked for help, and now all of a sudden I'm on some medications and these breathing things and stuff. But every day, my higher self has said, abandon all that. You made a mistake. Just go back to where I'm being guided, to not be concerned about when the med bed gets here, but to do everything I can to connect with the power within me of self-healing, to literally manifest it.
Absolutely, you hit that right on the head.
Yeah, and I found that's really helpful, because now they'll get here when they get here, and it's an alternative if I'm not successful on my own, but I feel I'm obligated and moved from within to do everything I can to literally connect with the power within me, to literally miraculously heal myself. That's my guidance.
And you touched on something else for everybody. We all have that ability, but the faith and the belief in ourselves needs to be higher, because I have met people literally that have healed themselves through their heart center and their mind.
Yes, and I'm doing my best to do that.
Yeah, and in the direction, once you are firmly centered and focused and connected literally with your higher self, and you could visualize and experience that connection, the energy. It's like I said, when Jesus healed, he was connecting with that human's higher self, their soul, their spirit.
Yes, and triggered their DNA and those other scientific processes to literally manifest a healed body.
Yes,
and that's what I'm being guided to do. I'll tell you, it's not easy, and it's really scary. Turning off of all of the industry out there, the medical industry, and turning one's back on it is not easy.
Oh no, because it's trained. The American people have been trained to follow the allopathic system because it's all they know. They don't trust all the other stuff because they think it's snake oil stuff and it's just all garbage. I have experimented, as I've said, with just all kinds of stuff that's come and gone, and the Ayurvedic, the herbalistic, the homeopathic, the naturopathic, the Eastern, Asian, Orient medicines and extracts. There are so many cures for just about all the ailments we have naturally that this planet provides us. It's mind-boggling. They have done everything to destroy and to eliminate from our minds all of these cures that are out there. You can't state cure on your website. You can't say the word cure, or we'll come in and we'll shut you down. You can't say this and you can't say that. Period. Okay?
I find myself in the dilemma that many are in, because I believe in all that allopathic. I don't even need to know about it. To me, it would just, if I have the means, I hire a professional who knows all about it. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it. But it takes money, so I'm in that dilemma where I want to make the shift over to that, but I'm not in a financial position to be able to afford it.
And what's interesting is that what we do to survive. So some people, we have to go to the allopathic. We go where we can to sustain ourselves and survive as long as we can. And I think that's the direction that most people take. And it's like, do I have an alternative? Absolutely, you have an alternative. Period.
Well, I'll tell you, the system here in Canada, which we have, health care provided, it's single payer, and it's all basic health care provided. And when I turn to it for help, I mean, the only way they'll help is if they can do all these tests and expensive tests, this and all that, all this stuff, and everybody's making money, and it doesn't do any good for me. This is crazy,
Yeah.
And So, but anyway, I've been pushed very strongly within to go back to leave that behind and just go within and do that process. And the difference is finding the confidence and the belief that I will be successful in that. That's the hard part.
Well, I think what we'll do here is we've really gone. Man, this call is going to show up for. It's going to show like what is it? Say 9, 10, 11, 12.
It's 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, people are going to go 3 hours and 20 minutes. Now, when they have a party on there? What we'll do is I'll do a follow-up call sometime this week, and we can, and get some other questions answered and stuff, because, I usually like, which is not normal, but I like to be able to have people voice and express and not be hurried and not be interrupted and rushed and pressured to, bam, bam, bam. Of course, that gets you more people and answers more questions, but then, some people don't get finished, so it might be different, an unorthodox way, but it seems to flow better. We don't get to as many people, and so we'll do is we'll do a follow-up call sometime this week, and I'll announce it on the meditation, and we can just do the Q&A and just answer some more questions and get people.
I think there's a lot of people in the awakening circles too that are in the similar position to me, where there's a lot more information and guidance and information to help them deal with the health issues from the inside out.
Well, there's things that we can recommend to people that aren't expensive, that they can try, that might help them with certain things. So we can have some Q&A on that as far as I did natural health calls years and years ago, just basically to help people, just to get them informed and educated, and so that they could get different perspective and different ideas and understand. I mean, come on, knowledge is power, and the more knowledge you gain, the better it is. So. But there are things now that I'm seeing and witnessing that are coming out that are astronomically phenomenal.
That'll be wonderful.
Yeah, they do what you say they do.
I'll
withdraw now here. Thank you very much.
I like to talk to the person that was just on. Could we start a group of people that want to do self-healing on an ongoing basis? That would be great if we could put that together, Jared.
I think that's a good idea. Time allotting, I think that we can figure out a way to have people send emails in that would like to have, let's say, a meditative healing session where everybody comes in that has an ailment or has a physical concern, and to put our attention on each person. So you have a group, and we put all of our meditative energies and our higher selves to help that person heal. A meditative healing session where they can, helping them, others helping that person heal. And, that's another proven active energy, that it's been proven that when people do this, it does affect the person. It's like Reiki. I'm a Reiki master. I do Reiki. On occasion, I'm a massage therapist, and I've learned these different techniques and different healing applications that work, and I've seen them work, and they're not. I've had Reiki done to me, which is absolutely phenomenal. You talk about a wonderful experience, and it's a healing. You're the conduit. See, that's it. That's what it is. You're the conduit for Creator Source to send that energy through and to heal. And it works.
Absolutely. I think we should do it right away, and I think that will help a lot of people that are dealing with certain things, and that power that we're talking about, we can continue to activate it, and people, they can just create a stronger level of faith because of the group energy, and also empowering them, each person, to be on we're all on the same page.
I think that's a good suggestion. We'll have to work on that and to organize it and get it, get it actually into a reality. And
can I interject? Can I interject here, Jared? This is Reverend Marilyn again.
Sure.
I would definitely be in line for that. I have gone within and taken care of many things on my physical body that have been healed.
I think that's a divine injection from Creator to have that suggestion come up. I think that it's important that if we can assist brothers and sisters that are ailing, that need healing, that and we're not talking about religious preference or anything. We're talking about a spiritual energy enlightenment that we as fellow human beings come together to heal and to send our love light energy into that person's physical body to help strengthen and to help their higher self become more connected to them and to intensify well-being within that body.
Absolutely.
I think that'll help. I think it'll help a lot of people. I think that there's a lot of people. I get a lot of people writing in asking for assistance. Obviously the med bed, but until the med bed is a reality and we have access to it, we in the meantime we've got to. What can we do? We're the power centers. All right.
I have this inspired guidance. We can create a med bed within ourselves.
That's a good way of putting it. I think that if we have enough of us that are committed to that and come together, we will be able to do that on a regular type of schedule where everybody is notified and they're invited to come in. Some people might be a little sheepish. This is you're not going to church. This is what this is about. And I think when we do that, people lose their sheepishness and say, "Wow, that sounds wonderful." I said, "How would you like a bunch of people that really care, that want to help you feel better, help you feel better?" And if you want to feel better, why not try it and see what happens? Period. And so, because you know how people are. Oh, is this some kind of religious cult? Are you trying to recruit members or something? And it's not. That's not what it is. It basically is. We are here through our Creator, through Prime Source Creator God, to help humanity. And this will be that's a good suggestion. We'll work on that.
Should I send you an email with what should I title it?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, do ahead. Go ahead. Send the email. And
what should I put on the subject?
Just put healing meditation.
Healing meditation. Okay.
Yep. So if I had my way, guys, we could talk for 5 days straight, but we don't, and I don't have the battery power on my phone. So, this is always enlightening for me. To feel the energy of everybody, to feel
as soon as we started talking about it, I felt a wave of energy come right through my spine all the way down to my feet right then when we were talking.
Yeah, it's a reality. We are healers, and we just have to recognize that and realize it. And it bring a lot of people alive, and I think it's a good thing all the way around. So I'd like to wish everybody a wonderful rest of the evening. A lot of people stayed for all this time. I apologize for not being able to answer everybody. That's why I'll do another call sometime this week and just do Q&A and get some questions answered for people that wanted to ask them tonight. And we had some interruptions, but for the most part, I think everybody was respectful, and it went well. And I just, through my higher self, I send every single one of you the highest amount of eternal love possible, and all the blessings, and all the wealth and health and support that you need, and faith. And wish you a good evening, and we will talk soon.